How is everybody going and doing? So today is episode 3 of our podcast. Very excited for this actually. We're gonna have great actually it's gonna be the same cast as last time. It's gonna be Miss Anyah, Barry. Shrimmer is feeling a little sick, so he probably will not be joining us, but Day is also coming in to talk to us. So y'alls. So a couple of things. One, September 20th will be the day that I'm going to choose who I'm going to make a new mascot out of. So it will be someone who is subscribed for at least 2 months, and then it normally doesn't take too long, so probably like another 5 or 6 days, and the mascot will be ready. But yeah, so you have until the 20th. If you're subscribed, hopefully you get the second month by then. So yeah, so we have that. Another one, since this is a podcast stream, alerts and channel points will not be redeemed. You can redeem your channel points, but it's going to be a waste, so don't do it. Otherwise you're going to lose your points. Alerts are off too, so no trying to scare me, BB. I won't be able to see it and it won't play, so okay, so the topic for today is going to be kinks. It's not going to be super sexual. It is not sexual. It shouldn't be sexual anyways. It's going to be about just a topic in general and experiences and challenges and stuff like that. So yes, so hopefully you guys enjoy it, and we're gonna switch over to our lovely little band of cast members. So let's do this. Yeah, hopefully I get it right. Boom. Hi guys.
Yellow.
Hi. You guys ready? So just to confirm, because it was working before, Day, you want your mic on the left hand side, right? Because you're looking all profish. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and it's
you're looking looking spicy over there. So I know it's the same cast as last time, but would you guys like to introduce yourselves? So we're gonna do the same thing as last time. It's gonna be like clockwise. The only difference is that Barry is now on the left hand side, so we're gonna do Day, Anyah, and then Barry last.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Daenorya. I don't know if my username on Twitch was Daenorya TV or just Daenorya the last time I did this, but just in case, come check me out there. I'm sometimes in Grum's chat. I'm usually a lurker though. I want to be more active though. I stream art, variety games. I want to get back into like story games and horror, all of the shit, all of the games. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
They are very quiet. Day, can you say something again?
Something on top of more somethings with a little extra something.
How is this, guys? Do you have a Barry link? I don't think I follow her. Yes, I'll be shouting out everybody. So we're gonna start off with Miss Anyah for the next one. And
so I'm Miss Anyah, and I'm a fairly new streamer. My first stream was actually today. And I too often hang out at Grum's little community, and I am happy to be here as well. Hey.
the cult community.
Let's
the
get
cult,
the
really, to be honest.
Hold on, I'm gonna bump everybody.
I wonder if we'll be able to help your speedrun affiliate.
Ooh. Yes.
That'd be interesting.
Right.
I was actually surprised. I got like 14 followers. I have no idea where they came from.
Well, you see,
I
Anya,
love. Ooh.
when a mother and a father love themselves very, very much, they spawn followers. People who are potential followers. It's the birds and the bee talk. Do we need to have the birds and the bee talk with you? All right, so Barry.
I'm Bearydramatic. I am also amongst the streamers. And I'm excited to be here. Yay!
Can you give a little bit more energy than that? That was like
Oh, I spent all day like doing chores, so I am a little low energy today. Yeah! Woo!
much better. Much better.
Do it!
That's much better.
Yeah, what?
What if she's just a naturally low-sounding energy person?
She is
she
definitely
is very
not.
dramatic. Come on.
There's a lot of drama energy going on with Barry.
Usually. Just today is one of my
Very Barry moment.
yeah.
Very,
Very
very
low
quiet.
energy. Yeah. One of those rare days.
Love it.
One of those rare days for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. So intros are done. Ready for the topic?
Let's
Do it.
We're gonna go right from the top. How did you get into this lifestyle? Or how did you get interested in the lifestyle?
Good question. I'm a woman who likes to try pretty much like little asterisks most things once. Few things off limits and or just don't want to do. But it started off with the usual vanilla stuff. And then you kind of see some of the the kinky stuff, if you will, in movies and whatnot. So it piqued my interest. I was curious. So I was like, maybe I'll try it and see if I like it. Tried it, liked it. And that's basically what I've been doing since is, if I'm semi interested in something, I'll try it, see if I like it. And if I don't, then I don't do it anymore.
It's a good way to start. I think that's how usually most people start. Probably from like the movies and stuff. Either that or like if you're a porn watcher, maybe like you're browsing porn, then like the weird like, oh, BDSM or what are you doing, step bro kind of stuff pops up and you're like, what is this? Yeah, I'd probably say like porn and movies are probably like the number one. Yeah. What about you, Miss Anyah?
So, fun fact, I'm weird and I don't actually watch porn. So that is not
Some
where
people
I
don't. It's not for
particularly
everybody.
wow, I can't English. I did not particularly get it from that, but I guess in a way it sort of started from like the more provocative movies, whether it's just starting with like
Titanic.
PG-13 like innuendos and suggestive content to like full like rated R going in stuff. And I don't know, it didn't really occur to me until I was with an actual person, like in my first relationship going forward. They liked certain stuff, and then that kind of piqued my imagination, which got me exploring, doing my own research, and yeah, that's kind of how I came into it. Just kind of allowing myself to be curious.
So how do you do your research? I'm kind of curious.
How do I do my research?
Yeah.
So I don't like relying on the internet personally because I feel like it's unrealistic. So
be.
my research mostly consists of asking my friends
Okay.
random questions, talking to real people who are actually within this lifestyle. In my opinion, is the best way to figure out if you're even curious about it, because they're going to be real about it with you when the internet may not be.
True. That's a good way to approach it for sure. I feel like if you go into the internet, it might be a little weird because there's always like different camps of people. There's always the full-on freakazoids of like, yeah, let's do everything and anything, and then there's other ones that are like, ah, bless you, child. May God save your soul.
You want to start off slow as well. You don't want to just randomly come across an internet page that goes full blown like dungeon porn type of stuff. Like you want to start off small and work your way up so you're not completely like traumatized at first.
Yeah,
like baby steps.
For example, I think this is
a second question.
Oh yeah, go for it.
For everyone to go around and answer, do you like plot to your porn? Do you care about the plot?
Fuck yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I'm the kind of person who gets into the plot. Like, you can't just go right into the lovemaking or whatever. There needs to be a why is this happening kind of thing. Why are they doing this?
Why is the stepson fucking the stepmother?
Stuck in the laundry.
It can't be unrealistic either. That whole thing where there's like a massive hole and you're like, oh my god, I'm stuck.
Right?
How are you stuck? The thing is big, like 3 times your size. I'm pretty sure you can just go off. It needs to be as realistic as possible. It can't just be like, like right off. It has to be like, why are you putting your dick inside of her, or dick on dick, or vagina on vagina?
Why is it important?
Why is this happening? I need to know. I can't get off if I just see sex.
Exactly. To each their own, by the way. If you don't like plot to your porn, no judgment at all. Everyone has their own preferences.
I feel like Barry is gonna have a really interesting answer because she's a theatrical woman. So I would assume she wants her porn to have like 15 different plot twists. Barry, would you like to talk about this? Do you like plotting your porn?
So if it's okay, can I go and answer the first question and then I'll wrap back around to this question?
Go for it.
So I actually got into this lifestyle mostly by experimentation. And I mean, growing up in the Old South, down here in the Bible Belt, we're taught abstinence and vanilla sex is the only sex.
I feel you there.
So definitely a lot of experimentation on my end, and like Miss Anyah said, a lot of research. And unlike Anyah, I was like, what is this? What does this mean? What? And luckily for me, it worked out that I was like, oh, okay. Okay. Which brings me 360 back to that the porn conversation. I am very judgy because I am a theatrical person.
I knew it.
If
this porn doesn't have any plot, finish it.
If the acting is not good or realistic, if the plot is not good or realistic, if it's not good enough, I can't get into it. So
same.
And again, that all had to do with experimentation. Like, I would find something I didn't like and then find something that I did like, and I was like, what's the difference? Oh, acting, camera angles, story, plot, effort. Yes.
There needs to be like a reasoning for this.
Oh yeah.
Like, why the fuck? Like, I can still jerk off for like a no plot porn, but like I have to look for something. Unless it's like 6 in the morning and I have work in like 2 hours and I'm like, okay, I gotta go really quick.
Day, that is so hot.
That's pretty nice. Okay, so I actually
I got this earlier and I just needed to make sure it could work over my glasses. Thank you guys for being a part of my test.
you Gucci. So I actually have a follow-up question to the follow-up question from Day. Okay, music and porn. You know when you like, there's like, when you have the porn scene going and you hear the
mood music, yep.
Like, music or no music?
I am a person for some mood music, but it has to be the right music because certain music can turn me off. I'm a lover of music, and so it's gotta be right. But there's also some give and take for good mood music. Gotta have some good BPM. Maybe they could like.
That's
to the beat.
That's beats per minute. Pound town beats.
Exactly.
Anyah?
Be creative with it.
Well, I guess Anyah, if you were to watch spicy content, would you think you would like to have some music in it or no music in it?
Well, I should clarify. It's not that I haven't watched it before, like out of curiosity. It's just that I don't really get a lot out of it because I'm probably pretty judgy as well in that regard.
Okay.
It's hard to impress me in that areas.
So you go into the mammoth porn.
but yes,
no Willy Little Wonkas.
I think the music is important. There were a couple ones I watched where there was like full like death metal in the background. I'm just like,
whoa,
no,
what were you watching?
Why? This is why I say do not Google search anything. but yeah, it matters. Mood music matters. It needs to be the right kind of tune for the plot, for what's going on.
Ooh. So Schumer says, I want epic movie soundtrack backing the fucking, like some epic Lord of the Rings shit. Oh, yes. Like the war music going on? Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I want to add a small side note that me and one of my exes used to do the diddly to a certain album of Volbeat, if you know that metal band. And so now when I listen to that album, I now like, because sometimes I associate music to memories, and so whenever I listen to that album, I will be like, yep, that time.
So I have something to say about that one, but I'm gonna let Barry go in first.
All I want to say on that is not only does it have to be perfectly timed and it has to be the perfect right music, the audio mixing also has to be just right. Like, I still want to hear the crappy actors as well as the music.
Yes.
That's all I was gonna say. Is like the audio mixing also has to be just right.
See, I don't like music in my porn. It's not that I don't like the fact that there's music, it's just I feel like so many of them are so distracting from what's actually happening. It's either too loud, it's too wrong of a song or music to play. It's like 50% it's them talking and then 50% is the music. So it kind of like it's weird. Like I need to hear the moaning.
I mean,
like,
they have to be pretty good at acting to not have music, at least.
Well, yeah, but I like sounds, like the moaning and the heavy breathing. Like I like that. When you have like music too loud, that cuts off. Which is weird. Okay, so what I was gonna say about the follow up today, talking about music. So I'm gonna share an experience with you guys. My ex of 8.5 years and I, our first sexual interaction was actually in the car. listening to Disney. So I fucked her in the car listening to Aladdin's I'm gonna show you a world. Shining, shimmering, splendid.
I mean, in a way you did.
I did. She squirted in the back of my car, so yay! That was the first time.
That's one way to break it in.
Yeah, it was the next. Was the surprise. I didn't know she was one. Well, after that night, I did I knew.
I can just imagine it. Let it go.
A better song would be Under the Sea. I feel like it would be more appropriate. Under the sea, down with a sweater.
If I were,
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you could do this either way, but like hearing that, it would immediately, in my mind, because I sometimes have both intrusive and imaginative thoughts, I would immediately like hold my nose and go like, as I slowly descend towards the groin.
Like I'm coming.
Under the sea.
All right, so a similar question, but probably a little bit more details. What made you curious about kinks? So what exactly the moment that sparked you? Like, ooh, maybe I like collars and whips and chains and butt plugs and tails and maybe not shitting on chests, but other stuff. That is a fetish. I
believe it.
And I learned a new one. Last week I learned that there's a new one. Anal hook.
Oh.
I talked about it in my stream last night. That's a new one. I'm
sounds painful.
I kind of want to try it. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to try it.
I did not know until I went on TikTok that there was a kink for, and I'm sorry, Grum, that you have to hear this, for men who like bigger things shoved into their urethra.
Yeah, I knew that one. I knew it. I've seen it. Nope. It hurts. It hurts just even looking at it.
Yeah. So, without getting too much detail, because this is not the best situation, but I don't remember too much of it because my brain likes to regress some memories and not bring them back. But one of my male family members was watching me, like babysitting me, and decided to pull up porn and start watching that on the TV. And I was not even a teenager yet, so that was the first time that I saw like explicit stuff like that. And so piqued my interest. Didn't really start doing anything and experimenting until I got my first boyfriend, but that's because I felt like I was an ugly duckling and no guys around me would want me. But then around middle school, towards the ass end of middle school, beginning of high school, guys would be like, "You're kind of cute," and I'm like, "No way." And that's when I would start experimenting. But there was also like an online period before that. Around the age of like 12-ish is when I started doing online role-playing stuff. Been doing it for quite a long time.
I remember those days. I also did the online RP stuff. Yahoo chat rooms and AOL chat rooms.
Experience was that, yeah.
Yeah. Yahoo chat rooms were very interesting.
Yes, I remember the old God, I had an AOL chat room or a Hotmail one.
Me too. The AOL ones were fun, but but I feel like the Yahoo ones were a little spicier.
That's how my mom caught me the first time, was because of the AOL
Same.
Hotmail ones.
Mom caught me on the AOL. It was not a fun conversation. Anyah?
So for me, I did not grow up in the South, but similar story. So my family is like super religious and conservative. So I didn't really get to do a lot of stuff growing up because it was impossible to even sneak it. The closest thing I snuck was GTA 5, and when they found out about that, it was like a sex scene in GTA 5, and they gave me this look of complete horror.
Just wait until they find. Just until they find out that you can fuck the hookers and then drive right over them to get your money back. Like, you took my money, just kill them.
So my exploration didn't actually happen till I was completely out of their house, which was only like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Which I guess allowed me to do more research on the matter than actual exploration. So it was only with my current relationship that I only got to put more of the fantasies into action because I had the room to do it. I didn't feel like I needed to feel bad about it. I didn't feel like I was in a house where I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna go to hell if I do this in their house.
Big oof.
I'm a little bit newer to putting things into action because I now have the freedom to do what I want as an adult.
Okay.
I think I answered the question.
Yes.
I forgot. But yeah. Forgot the actual question.
What made you curious about your kinks? That's.
Yeah.
Would you say probably like denial, just like the fact that you were so sheltered?
I think when you're sheltered, it kind of makes you more curious because once you finally have that freedom, you're just like, yes, exploration, I can do what I want. Yes.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
And I did do online chat rooms as well. That was one thing that was easy to hide.
What was your go-to?
Huh?
What was your chat room go-to?
Have you ever heard of IMVU?
Oh yeah, that's where you create your own avatar stuff, right? The really pretty looking ones.
That was my thing.
I tried that one.
I role played everything. I even had, like, at 13 or 14, I had my first quote unquote boyfriend.
You saying people at that age don't have real boyfriends?
It was a role playing situation, so I don't know if I can really consider it my first boyfriend.
Role playing relationships are real relationships, damn it.
Right. If I don't count my my online RP relationships, then then I didn't have an official relationship until later in life.
Barry.
So like the others, exploring really started in the online chat rooms. I hung out with the hooligans in my mom and them called them. They weren't the best to come. Actually, I'm gonna throw Shroomer under the bus because he can't do anything right now. My Shroomer actually dated the girl that got me into talking to people in chat rooms. And she was my best friend, and they actually they dated in middle school. But she was the one that like introduced me to the wonderful wide web, and I started staying up late and like really late. I love you. I started staying up like really late and like hiding it. Like we had like one family computer in the house. It was on dial up. I like hid it from my mom and
call him my mom.
Yeah, mom. I was hiding it from her, but that was like kind of like when the exploration kind of started. But what really piqued my interest when I was younger, and I believe, and because memory's a fickle thing, I believe I was like it's like first semester or second semester in college. I was dating a much older man who was very experienced, and I was not because I was just in college and I was uh, still learning. So I had my freedom from my mom for the first time. I learned I could walk around outside and wear whatever I wanted to wear and not be like judged for it. Um, so, but I was dating a much older man who kind of introduced me to uh, kind of a little bit of everything. So that's really what started like piqued my interest, and then I started doing my own research. That's kind of where I went from there.
Very interesting. So Anya touched on this a little bit. What challenges did you face or are still facing during the introduction of kinks, or even still exploring? Because some of us are might be more curious and experienced, which is nothing wrong with it. I can fully admit that I don't really have too much experience. I have had one partner that was into that stuff, which is who introduced it to me. And since then, I've looked into it. I've had toys and practiced with toys, but never. I mean, my last relationship was 8.5 years, so that's like. I mean, she liked a little bit, but I wouldn't say she was vanilla, but she wasn't really kinky either. So, during that period, there's nothing. So, no shame in that. Still curious and still willing to do a lot of things. But I'm the kind of person, I will always say this: I don't need it. I don't need the kink stuff. I'm very happy with just being with someone who can just be vanilla, and I think that's a good thing to be, because it opens up more doors to who you can be with, where you have that side where I have interest in it, but I don't need it. I don't need that side to be happy. And I'm kind of curious to see what challenges you guys faced, both internally and externally, when either getting into the kink lifestyle, or your curiosity, or even what you're facing still today. Because kinks I think it's a very constantly evolving thing in everyone's life. Day, would you like to open up?
Yeah. So when I experienced my first longest relationship, my significant other, in my opinion, was more vanilla than I was. But at the same time, in an effort to keep me, they were willing to try new things with me to 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 try to figure out what both of us liked. Um and I can say that overall I figured out that I'm a switch, but primarily I'm a sub.
Could you explain that for those people who don't know what a switch is?
Oh, yes. So for people who don't know, it means that depending on who I'm with, I can go from being a submissive type to a dominant type. And I've usually found that women around me get more submissive, so that way it helps me to take a more dominant role. It started back in middle school and stuff when there would be people more shy than I was, so I would be the person to go ask the question for them or go do the thing for them. Um so I don't mind doing both. I'm a people pleaser in all ways, pretty much. Um, and so finding out that back in the day I was primarily a submissive type, it required my partner to be more dominant and or to be more decisive in what we were going to try, not try, do during this session, etc. But because my partner at the time was also like, we had taken each other's cherries and everything, so we were both new to the whole exploring type dealio. Um and so for him to try to be decisive, but also to make sure that, he was he wasn't doing anything that I didn't want to do. That was his worry. And so we clashed a lot, me and my first partner. And primarily I like to reflect on it and say it was because of like miscommunication and not communicating enough. Um, but you know, we were kids, so what can you do? Um, and I've also experienced a challenge of where, as a female, and I love that two amazing females get to answer after me because I want to say I'm 60% sure that you guys have experienced this at least one time. But it took me meeting my current partner to find out that if you offer up information to someone who's trying to suit you and who lusts after you and wants to smash, they will in turn try to say that they are that thing. So for example, I used to be like, "Oh, I love doms. Doms are they're my type." So then the person would be like, "Oh, I'm such a dom. I live, breathe, and eat dom." Um, but nowadays I'm more so, what kind of type are you? You know, you ask the question versus offering up the information, because otherwise they'll try to mirror what you like just to get into your pants.
Mm.
Um, and I'm over that. I've seen it happen too many times, and it's something where I've also noticed that despite the fact that I'm pansexual, I sometimes lean towards men. But that's because one of my ex-girlfriends was, in a word, like if I were to try to summarize it back in the day, like crazy, and or she
Hi,
wasn't taking care
BB.
of herself
How are
kind of
you?
dealio. And so I have this fear of trying to be in a relationship with another female because I'm scared, and I haven't made any progress. I mean, I made some progress in terms of friendships,
Doing
but
good.
like
How
in
are you?
terms of personal relationships, it's taken more time. So I lean towards men. The thing is, leaning towards men in terms of significant other, love you guys. Not all men do this too, but not all men like to communicate and talk. So when it comes to having the conversation before you get all kinky and bring out the whips, ropes, whatever, you know, not all men have the attention span, the ability, or whatever to have that conversation of what are the restrictions? What is the safe word? What is the limits? What are you okay with? To have all of that conversation, if you were to try to do it all in one sitting, can be sometimes hard with a man. And or some men are just like, I don't know, I don't care. And it's like, so to have that conversation with somebody, I haven't had the easiest time having that conversation with somebody. And I don't know if that's the same with everybody, you know. Maybe some people have it easier to be like, "Hey," like they ask like their significant other before they do the diddly can ask, "Hey, what are you okay with? What do you want to do?" You know?
I think it definitely can be hard for some people. I wouldn't say just men, because I've also, even just talking to women in general, a lot of them just don't like communicating. A lot of them just like telling people. Like, there's a huge difference between telling someone and then communicating with someone. If you're just telling someone something, you're basically, it's a one-way street. It's not a communication. A communication is two ways. It goes, you tell me and I tell you. If you're just telling someone, you're just like, I want this. Okay, but what about my feelings? I don't care. This is what I want. Like, it has to be both ways. It's a, in all aspects of life. It's not just in kink. It's just kink community, even just relationships, even just how you communicate with other people. It has to be communication. You tell me how you feel, but how
Back
the other
and
person
forth.
feels back, that's also important too. And I feel like there's a huge lack of this even in general out in the world, where so many people are now just like, I am offended, I'm this it bothers me, this is what's important to me, I don't give a fuck what everyone else thinks, the only opinion that matters is mine. And it is like a blanket towards everything else with how they approach everything else. Like with relationships, it's a 50-50. You can't just go into a relationship and be like, well, he doesn't make me happy, he's a bullshit fucker, I want this, I want that. But when the guy or the other person comes back to you and say, well, but I also want this, and you're like, no, it doesn't matter, this is what I want, like, that's not right. So kind of, yeah, communication is very, very important. Anyah? Very curious about this one.
So there were a lot of struggles for me, particularly, that kind of had to be resolved before I could be like fully into this lifestyle. Briefly, one was the faith thing, because I am someone who has a faith. It's hard being someone who has a faith and saying, yeah, I have fun with this kind of stuff, because most people you talk to, they'll be like, oh, well, shun. So the first step was getting over that hurdle of like, okay, you can have certain beliefs and still have fun. Like, it's not a bad thing, it's okay. And then after I overcame that, it was more kind of the lack of experience and not really having a way to try anything. So that's kind of what leads into my current struggles, because with my current relationship, I was able to try stuff more because he was into particular things. So it's actually kind of funny that Day mentions switching, because I didn't really know there was a word for it, but
Just learning all kinds of things today.
In my experience, that's kind of where I've been, because in past relationships, I was kind of the opposite of Day. I was the dominant one because I had to be. For some reason, I just ended up with the more dominant role. And with my current relationship, it's weird trying to be more submissive, because I know my fiance likes to be more of the dominant role. And that's almost kind of what led me to explore more, as slightly digressing, is I wanted to go away from the dominant role. I wanted to feel more submissive, like, I don't know. It just got boring being the dominant one all the time.
I think
Sometimes you just want to be taken over. I'm just gonna say that.
I think that's why so many I don't know if you guys know this. I think Dave probably does, because I think we talked about this before. I think that's why so many higher up in companies, or so many people in power, tend to have a submissive sexual lifestyle, because they're constantly under the burden of, I need to lead, I need to control, I need to have everything under my control in my daily life, that when it comes into the bedroom, it's just like, hit me, mommy.
Well, in my experience, I always had to play the more masculine role, because in my relationships, the men ended up being more feminine. I'm just like, for once, I want to play the feminine role. Like, I want to be that person. So
I want to say something about that one. The dominant male is in very risk of lower population in today's society. masculinity is being viewed as a very bad thing in any form. So I think this kind of mentality of I want to be taken over might be in risk, because there might not be too many males out there who can do it right, because
Right.
so much of the masculinity side of things is being attacked by certain groups. I'm not going to name them, but certain groups view any form of masculinity as bad and toxic, and we are having a lot of males growing up thinking that it's not okay to be that, any form of masculine at all. And I think that's a dangerous path for other reasons besides, the king side, because, like it or not, most men, or most fighting forces in the world is led by men. Biologically we're stronger, so when it comes head to head, male's gonna beat the shit out of you. And if we don't have that kind of masculinity, our fighting force goes down. We're not going to have the strongest army anymore. Let's be honest. There's countries out there that fully focus on the masculine, that they're building their armies and fighting forces on as strong as possible. You're living in a country where masculinity is being viewed as a bad thing. What's going to happen when our army starts to suffer for this? Let's be honest. America pissed off a lot of people to get to where we are. And those people who we pissed off, do you think they're letting their armies lower their standards because it's offensive to some people? Hell no. I think this is a very dangerous area. And I know this started off as a kink topic with this question, but it does go over with a lot of stuff, and this is a very dangerous thing that's happening.
Well, and I totally get that, because in my opinion, I don't think either or should be shamed. I don't think it should be bad if you're heavily masculine. I don't think it should be bad if you're heavily feminine. There just needs to be an acceptance of everything, whoever you are, whatever you identify as. It should be accepted.
Yep.
So we don't lack one or the other, or feel bad about being ourselves,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There should definitely be acceptance on any kind of person. It's be who you want to be. You shouldn't be told that you being how you are. I mean, unless you're a mass murderer, it's fine. Like, you do you. You want to be masculine, be masculine. If you want to be more of a feminine guy or person, dude, do you. I think that's perfect.
Well, and leading to my last struggle, that actually goes into it pretty well, because the last struggle was just kind of being okay with what I like. Just, there are certain things that when I tell people about them, it does kind of sound weird at first. So
We don't
just
always have the right words. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So just being able to kind of accept what you like has been a huge thing for me, as well as trying to explain those things to, like, my fiance, because he I would say, is, even though he has his own kinks, is that he's more vanilla and doesn't know how to go about the things that I like yet. So just being able to, like, kind of go through that journey with each other to kind of, like, figure things out.
Yeah, but it's good that you guys are working together with each other's kinks. You don't have to always match your kinks. It's just about
Right.
acceptance on the other person's kinks and be willing to communicate with it. Barry, would you like to share with the class?
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of go off of what both Day and Anya said. So my own personal struggle, kind of like Anya. I mean, I'm no longer a very religious person, but at first I was stepping out of my family household. I was, and I struggled a lot with shame once I kind of started experimenting with and kind of getting into this. My biggest struggle was shame and guilt, and um, I would experiment, and then I would feel insanely guilty after, and then like, and I didn't have anyone there guiding me, you know. Uh, and as as I got further into it, and I kind of started accepting it more and more as part of who I was, part of my personality. The struggles started to become more about my experiences with other people. So, like Day said, if you offered up the fact that you were into a type of personality, suddenly, I can't. I am 100. Like I got you. I'm 100% the person that you're looking for, and then they convince you somehow, and like later you look back and you're like, why did I fall for that? Why did I believe that? And then if you join a kink website, you're gonna sometimes as a submissive woman, if you put up there that you are a submissive woman, you get a lot of interesting people, specifically dominance, male and female, that feel like you owe them something for them being dominant. And as someone new into this lifestyle, you're like, well, do I? Like this, I did say I am this. Like, do I? And I mean, I'm 26. I was still like in my late teens, early 20s when I started really getting into this. So it didn't take me too long to realize like what was going on and like learn, but I feel like it took me longer than it should have. Oh, there was a point you made, Grum, that I was gonna go into. I know I can't think of it, but
feminine men.
No, it was before that. It was before that.
Communication.
No, it's gone. I'm sure something might pop back up, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But I mean, those were just my main struggles. Like my own internal struggles were just getting over the shame and the guilt. Because I will say before 50 Shades, this whole topic, whole topic, just everything in it was very taboo. And then of course it became popular. And suddenly everyone's into it. And that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other set of struggles. But and then once I started to accept that, then it was external struggles such as trying to understand what a real dominant person looks like versus a not so, like, someone that's just like Day said, mirroring to make you feel comfortable so they can sleep with you. And that was a real struggle for me for a long time.
Hey, I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of interested because you all have submissive sides. Whenever I'm looking into, the lifestyle, and I hear stories about this, and I've seen it in comments and things in certain spicy websites. If you're a dom, and I don't know, I would like to hear what you guys have to say about this. If you're a dom and you're like, you are approaching a submissive partner, or not partner, a submissive person that you've never met before, that is literally like the intro to you. If you're coming right off as if they owe you something, as if they're already your sub, I feel like you're not really a dom. I think you're just trying a little too hard of trying to come off as one, because I don't know about you, I am more of a dom, or I am a dom personality. I approach everybody with respect because they don't owe me shit. Whether or not you are in a relationship with a sub or a person, it's about respect. They don't owe you anything. If you establish a rapport with the other person that, hey, we could, have a relationship here of that style, yeah, go for it. It's the consent. Like, I don't just go at someone and just be like, yeah, you're my bitch now. That's not how it goes. You have to talk about it. You can't just be like, you're mine now, bitch. Ha! I'm your dom now. Stamp your name on their forehead. Like that to me, that's weird. And if I try to put myself in their shoes, like if I was a sub personality, I would just be so turned off by that. That would be like I would, in my mind, if I was a sub personality, I would want someone or be into someone controlling me. Maybe not that person. So I'm kind of curious what kind of approaches you guys deem like, oh yeah, he might be like an actual person who likes to dominate people versus someone who is clearly what Day says, I like doms. Oh yeah, I'm a total dom. What do you guys think, Day?
Oh man. Usually after they identify themselves as a dom, then comes the question of, are they a hard or a soft dom? And for those who don't know, there's a difference. Soft doms are more caregivers, if you will. They want to make sure you're okay, they're extra attentive, there's a little bit of extra aftercare. And they're not as much of a sadist or they don't get off on pleasure as much as, per se, a hard dom, who you might have to use your safe word more with a hard dom than a soft dom. Because of, what gets them off versus, what gets you off kind of thing. Like a hard dom, you might see more punishments, spanking, rough play, if you will. And so finding out what kind of dom they are afterwards, and then figuring out the conversation afterwards can be kind of difficult, on top of the fact that, yeah, because some people like to try to mirror, if you offer up what you like, they might say, oh, I like to do this, but then when you go to do the diddly, they don't do the thing. So it's really, it sucks, but sometimes it's a like, you have to try to put your faith in the other person, but you don't know if they're going to come through. And that's why it can be hard for some subs to truly trust their doms, is because usually there might be sometimes I personally like to test my doms beforehand, before we get into the bedroom, to make sure that they're either actually a dom or that, our personalities connect, kind of dealio. My brain is going burr. Can you remind me what the question was?
So when you're being approached by a dom, how do you feel about people who are like just immediately just being like, you're like acting like a dom, like you owe them something because you're already theirs, versus someone who approaches you like normally and then like start showing traits of it, versus like just saying that they are. There's a difference between showing traits that you are, more on a dominant side, which I will say there is a difference between just being a dominant. I don't think, in my personal experience, I don't think there's anybody who's like dominant all the fucking time. Like, I'm pretty standoffish and I'm pretty low key normally, but whenever it comes to the sexual activities, I am more of a, like, I do turn that side on. Like in normal things, I'm pretty like laid back. I'm like, I don't care, you pick, that's fine, you pick this, I want to go, or for like when we go out, like I don't care where we go, I'm pretty laid back, whatever. But there's a difference, I think you don't judge someone's interests based on how they are in real life, because as we've seen, or is known, a lot of people's daily lives actually contradict how they are in the bedroom.
Exactly.
Kids.
Yeah, my thing is, you need to finish what you start, and if you try to say one thing and do another, it's not my cup of tea. So, trying to have at least some of that conversation before I bring them into the bedroom is really important. But usually the first performance in the bedroom lets me know if they're actually serious about what they do versus being kind of like a, for lack of a better word, a poser. Um and so there's another thing that I realized, and it was only semi recently, that despite whatever kind of dom you're working with, there's some form of aftercare, whether it be cuddles or a little bit of conversation after, helping each other clean up. It can be to each your own what the aftercare is. Like, be a little bit more extensive depending on the play. Um, but I found two separate DOMs, and I do the air quotes purely because they didn't believe in aftercare,
What
which
the
makes
fuck?
me be like, you're not the kind of dom that I need or want. Because even if you're a hard dom versus a soft dom, aftercare is necessary. And I was watching this. There's this Twitch channel called Healthy Gamer GG, and they talked about BDSM and the fact that, one, couples who practice BDSM are more happy, because they have a special or specific time that they can release their kink and feel good about themselves, and they have a routine about the aftercare, and they're ready and excited, and they get excited for the play. But there's also, a toxic side to it, where if you don't have the aftercare, if you don't have the conversation, or where it's such an addiction to the fetish that you see, like, for example, let's hypothetically say someone's addicted to feet. But they're so addicted to feet that they don't see the person, they mainly see feet. Or they get off on that. The partner could sometimes feel like, I'm just being used for my feet. Um, so having that conversation and being able to do the aftercare afterwards can definitely make or break a session and help you figure out who's legit, who's not legit.
Aftercare is always important. I think a lot of people tend to forget that. Like, even pretty mild sessions need aftercare. I mean, even fucking vanilla sex still needs aftercare depending on the people. Like, I know some people
Yes.
might be like, okay, I'm done, bye. And they're fine with that. But some people have it, like, they get really emotional after getting off, and a little cuddling, a little spooning, like, goes a long way. Anyah?
So,
Do you remember the question?
yes.
Okay.
So, it's funny you say that that we aren't this, like, our particular type all the time, because, like, for me, I kind of consider myself naturally a submissive type, but I'm more of a learned dominant type because of all the situations I've had to be in. I had to learn to just get used to being the dominant type. So that's just kind of became second nature, and I never really got to do what was comfortable. So that's just my situation. So being seeing someone who says that they're a dominant type, like, it's nice because you get to do what you're more comfortable with. At the same time, it's that thing you wondered, like, are they really? One example I can think of is one that happened recently, where I did have someone over because I'm trying to get to a place where I can get do something that my fiance likes, which involves another person. But they were that person that literally almost seems like they're trying too hard. Like they're just like, oh yeah, I'm like, it's so convenient that you're the submissive type because I'm such a dominant type, and I'm just like,
No,
he's coming on super strong, and I'm just like, you're just not like appealing to me right now. And even when he left, we didn't do anything because he was just, again, being a little too aggressive with his approach. But after I said, like, hey, like, it was cool, like, playing Mario Kart and whatever we were doing to get to know each other. And he was just like, oh, yeah, like, I was just thinking about, like effing you and pounding you into the ground. And I'm just like, dude, stop. Like, this isn't attractive. so that's me and my reaction trying to react to someone who says they're dominant and just kind of not believing it, kind of being turned off by how aggressive they're being at least when I'm trying to be the submissive one, that is.
Oh, thank you, Mad Moxie, for the follow. Appreciate that. I feel like there's I like to think, at least I try. I do try. Like, I do have a dirty mind, but I will absolutely say that I try my hardest to, whenever I'm talking about anything, especially on my channel, because it is on a public forum, to be as tasteful as possible. And I feel like there's a tasteful way to say, I want to take you to Pound Town without being a fucking creepazoid about it. And I do try whenever I'm flirting with someone, I do try to even still be on the respectful side. I don't know, unless I'm like, sexting someone. But if I'm just casually flirting, I don't just like, I want to pound your pussy.
Exactly. Like you have no idea, like, words matter, how you phrase things matter. If you're just making like conversation with just telling someone how much you want to pound them, like, that's not attractive. Like, use some amount of class here. I'm not an object, and neither are you. Like, come on.
You have to use delicacy and just like delicate words, like sensual.
To a certain extent, but like, hey, just in case people didn't realize, if you do it for more than a certain extent, fun fact, the other person starts to feel like an object versus an actual
right.
Yep. It is extremely unattractive. And this isn't just towards females, by the way. It can be highly uncomfortable for a man to be told that all the time. It is about, like, the tastefulness. Like, you can absolutely say anything, but depending on how you say it, it can sound very fucking creepy. So yeah. Which actually, Anyah, I wrote down a topic that I'm going to ask after this one, but I want to hear what Barry has to say.
Two things. Can you remind me what the question was? I just want to make sure I correctly answered.
Actually, so because you are also part of the special website that I joined recently, you might have actual personal experience with this. So the question was, if you are posting something, or if you're being approached by said dom person, how do you feel when, between an interaction of someone saying, like, just immediately acting like a dom towards you because it says, like, for example, you post on your profile, I'm a submissive, and someone goes into you and be like, you're mine now, bitch, versus someone who talks to you like a person first and then lets out those traits. Like, how do you see those kinds of people? Like, are you okay with someone, or do you think it's okay for someone to just be like dom mode on all the time whenever you're talking to a submissive, or do you want, a little respect here and then let the traits come out?
Yes. Okay. So this conversation actually kind of reminded me of what I wanted to touch on the last time that I forgot, because I'm vintage, and I
Me
forgot.
too.
So the first part of that question, if I am on a spicer site like the one we were talking about.
FetLife. I'm really hoping I get sponsored by FetLife. FetLife, guys. FetLife is really
Hello,
awesome.
hi.
It's $5 a month if you want to see all of the content and videos. FetLife, please sponsor me.
If
Shameless plug.
a person were to just slide into my DMs and just boom, Dom, you're submissive, I'm dominant, you're supposed to bow to me, you're supposed to get on your knees to me. I don't even answer them. I don't even give them the time of day. Now I have had it happen where they try to be sneaky and they're like, hey, we start talking like a normal person, and then just like in the middle of conversation, they're like, you need to call me sir. Or you need to call me master. And I'm like,
fuck that. Sorry, but titles are earned.
Yeah, so this kind of brings me to like the idea of like consent and safety. Like the number two big things of BDSM, consent and safety. And if we don't have that, why do you think I'm going to respect you? Why do you think I'm going to trust you? And to get that, we have to have more than 5 messages in an inbox. Man, we have to have a whole conversation, my guy or my girl. We gotta establish something here. And this kind of brings to, I don't know if you guys remember. Last time I talked about routine guy, who we got into like a routine of our sexual.
Is this which the what do we call them? Fuck. Whatever. Continue.
It's like into the
I talked
woods
about
guy
like
or something.
No, not that one. Different guy. He messaged me like a year after we had broken up, and he was like, "Hey, was I boring?" And I was like, "No, you just really like your routine in the bed."
Happy Meal guy.
Happy Meal
guy.
Happy Meal guy. Yes. So he's the one. He's like the main one that I think of when I think of like a fake dom, because I offered up my information. I said, this is the type of person I'm looking for. He's like, oh, I can be that. I can be that. And then like throughout the 9 months we dated, he not once was he like that. And because I'm now a shroomer and engaged to shroomer, every other guy I now compare to shroomer. So it's interesting, Grum, that you bring up the conversation of constantly being in submissive mode or dominant mode. But the topic, or the thing that I wanted to talk about earlier that I forgot, you had mentioned that like a lot of people that are in control tend to be very submissive. Well, I'm a teacher. I like control. I have control issues. You can even ask Shroomer. Shroom represent. You can even ask Shroomer. I am a control freak. But for the most part, when you look at Shroomers and I's relationship, in a sense, it's a very traditional relationship. Pretty much in everyday life, I am submissive to Shroomer. And I'm not saying we live the lifestyle 24/7, because that's a ridiculous standard. Even people that say they live it 24/7, I have a really hard time believing that, because we're human. For example, Shroomer, who is usually the dominant one and like takes care of those things, he's sick right now, and I'm not saying I'm 100% the caregiver, but generally he's the caregiver, and right now he's not able to take care of a lot of things, so I'm kind of doing that. Mm-hmm. Hi, Day! But to most people, we are in a traditional relationship where I generally, like, when people ask me questions and we're together, I'm like, you can answer. When we go out to order, or out to eat, I'll let him order for both of us. So like they're just like little things. Like I generally take care of the household. I clean, I cook, I handle the finances, mostly because I have a better head for finances than he does. But and this is the most important part of my point, is that we had this whole conversation. We had everything talked about, everything laid out before we even came to the conclusion that this is how we want it to be. And granted, in the beginning, it was very... Hi. Thank you.
It's later.
Are you... Okay.
I also
I was literally just talking about how I'm taking care of everything, and you're like, I'm gonna prove her wrong. Dude! I'm just teasing. I love you. Thank you. I guess someone's feeling though. But in the beginning, it was very it was like our relationship was I was very subby, like almost 100% of the time. He was very dominant 100% of the time. And now that we've been in a relationship for 3 going on 4 years, it's definitely leveled out, but there's still a lot of aspects in our relationship that are I'm very in a way of saying submissive to him versus a lot of other vanilla relationships where it's more equal. I am definitely like, all right, you're making this decision, you're doing this, and I'll take care of this, and this. Like, it's, and I'm trying so hard not to make it sound like he's an asshole and I'm just and I'm just like just along for the ride. Like, no, we 100% talked about this. And I think to help clear this up, I make a lot of decisions. I make a lot of decisions as a teacher. I have the weight of like 70 kids on my shoulders a day, and I have to make so many decisions outside of my home that when I come home, I don't want to make those decisions. It's on him now. It's his decision. It's his world, and I am 100% okay if he's like, hey, you know, we made this agreement that you would do the housework and it needs to get done. And he just reminds me like, hey, can you get the laundry done? I need clean clothes. Can you make sure that gets done this weekend? I say, oh yeah, thank you. You know, like, so just to be clear, it is consensual. It is something that we wanted. It is something that I wanted because I don't have to make decisions. And holy cow, that's amazing. When I come home, like, yeah.
So Sherman
So,
just accept
Really
what we
nice
watch
when
on TV.
You have the trust in somebody to be able to make those decisions or to help you make those decisions for you. Like that's something that some doms don't understand is
Mm-hmm.
for certain submissives to give in to their dominant, it takes a level of trust that takes a little bit of time. And you know, some people don't understand that. They think it's instant gratification for being a dom. And
You gotta build a
that
relationship.
definitely tells you from the fake and true.
Oh yeah.
Grum.
You can't, I feel like you can't just go into it. I mean, I think some people who have a submissive side and they just want to like feel that moment and they, you know, they don't care who the dominant is. It's just like they just want to be. That's fine. But if you want to build a relationship with someone, it takes time, and you have to build up that connection and that trust, because that shit doesn't come easy. Like trust is hard to get, but it's very easy to break. So this actually comes around to something that Anyah said with feeling comfortable. How do you guys feel about feeling comfortable? Do you guys have any opinions on that? Because I feel like if you want to do anything with anybody, but particularly with doing a kink, like maybe say, you know, you're into the kink lifestyle, but you see something new and you're like, ooh, I kind of want to try that. I would think feeling comfortable with who you're doing it with, which might not be your current person that you're doing it with. You know, maybe you're steady with someone, but you have an open relationship, but you might not feel comfortable doing this particular kink with that person. So you might be like, hey, I would like to try this kink out, but I know you're not a fan of it, or, you know, you're not experienced enough with it. Maybe would it be okay to, you know, find someone who I feel comfortable with trying this out? What do you guys
Right.
think about comfort? Comfort seems to be really important, but I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. I'll bring up two instances. One, I'll try to keep brief because it's somebody else's. But I'm a avid reader of Reddit. So this woman posted on Reddit about the fact that she bought a butt plug and she thought that it would be a great present for their relationship, despite the fact that she hadn't talked to her partner previously about doing anal.
Ooh.
So, things start getting steamy and she brings out the butt plug like, here's this great present that I'm happy to receive. I like this. What do you think? And the partner is hesitant. It's not the reaction she wanted. And most people in the comments are like, yeah, imagine if your partner did the exact same thing you just did. Where without previous conversation, you just bring in this new fetish or toy or something without talking to them, and you're just like, here, do you want to do it right now? Are you ready? And so some people don't always have the same preference to tea or fetishes, etc. to you. So, don't judge them on that. But at the same time, this poster was like, am I in the wrong? But they were in denial. They're like they got downvoted to oblivion for every comment that they tried to provide in the thread because it was so ignorant. It was so without perspective of the other partner, and that it was just it was more so a comic post for me to read. Barry looks like, oh, I'm so sorry if I'm causing this.
No, it's chat is Barry's enjoying that burrito a little too much.
Oh, I'm reading chat now. Oh my.
So sorry.
You guys,
Trying
this is
so
better than
trying
this.
Oh,
not
and
to laugh.
listen to you. I was trying so hard.
I love it. I saw your face going red and things were happening, and I'm like, what's happening?
It's these jerks being jerks in chat. That's what's happening.
But Day, I
Disrespectful. That's what's happening.
I agree with Day though. It's one thing like that. I think that comes down to comes back to communication. You have to communicate with your partner. Like just because you are into it doesn't mean that your partner is. And I think anal is this very special one because some people are into anal. Some people don't care that their partner is into anal, and some people are like, ew, no, hell no. So if just because you're into anal, your partner might not want anything to do with anal at all. So that might be like a huge turn off. So if you're just in the middle of and your partner just goes butt plug, your partner might not be like your partner might not like that. It might be like, ooh, no.
Exactly. And that's the thing. The OP, the original poster, was shocked that when she brought out this butt plug that her partner wasn't like excited. And that was the thing. That's why she made the post. And it like for someone to not have the perspective to be like, how would my partner react to having this just sprung as a surprise with barely to no previous conversation, it's a little selfish in my opinion.
I was gonna say, do you think that's a trait of selfish lovers?
But otherwise, I would say that I try to bring up what I want and or need in my sexual part needs and or activities early in the relationship to make sure that they can be met or like I can compromise because I'm a person willing of compromise.
That's important, I feel.
And that's another thing, yeah. my younger brother got married recently, and both me and my older brother is married. I am not. Both of us were like, you, my good sir, need to learn how to compromise because there are certain things that she wants right now, and if you give into what she wants, then later you can compromise for things that you need and or want. But you need to also put yourself in your wife's shoes kind of deal. Anyways, so I try to do that with my partner as well, in the bedroom and whatnot. And so before I take on a new boyfriend, girlfriend, etc., I try to figure out what kind of persona or like what kind of type they are primarily, how often they want to do it, etc., what their limits are. Um and whatnot. But there always comes the point where it's getting down to it. You're doing the thing, and you're trying to satisfy your partner, and there needs to be some kind of communication and or even nonverbal communication in the bedroom.
Oh, for sure. You have to talk to your partner. Like, I don't think there's any successful relationship that can actually be successful without communication. Like, that's just
And by the
doomed to
way,
fail.
I am one of 3 female identifying peoples in this chat to say that if you are a male identifying person, it is definitively okay if you make noises in the bedroom because
Oh, hell yeah.
honestly, I personally know I'm doing good if I hear noises versus no noises. Like, for example, if I go from doing a certain thing and there's no noises to I change it up and there's noises now, I'm gonna keep doing the thing that I changed it up to.
Oh, hell yeah.
So,
Noises are a good cue.
mind you, and when I'm being very vague when I say noises because it could be anywhere from,
Grunting,
light,
moaning.
panting noises because not all male identifying people like to moan or, whatever. So you can do heavy breathing or whatever. If you switch it up when your partner has found the spot, then your partner, even if you don't like verbally communicate it, your partner has some inclination that they're around the area of good feels.
I can't
So
be with someone who doesn't make any noises. To me, it's the weirdest fucking thing. You're just pounding it
I
and nothing.
I used to have a friend. I was with my partner, and my partner's friend had a girlfriend who was like a and the and this sucks. And by the way, I'm not saying this to be offensive, but hypothetically, if you don't make noises while you're in bed, then there's a I don't know how % chance that your partner, when describing you to other people, will say that you fuck like a corpse because you don't do anything. And that's how my boyfriend's friend explained his girlfriend was like she didn't move, she didn't make any noises or anything, and I was like, and I'm a vocal-ish type person. Like the first time that me and my boyfriend decided to do the diddly around anybody or in the same house as anybody, the morning after they were like, you need to gag that bitch or something. And so there's the spectrum and everything, but even if you're not particularly a vocal person per se, like using your words in during sex, even if you change up how you like breathe, it can help your partner understand that they're in the right spot or in the right area. Like if you're just breathing regularly while they're doing, general licks or whatever. But if they find the good spot and you go from regular breathing to short, heavy breathing, then your partner knows that they're in the general good spot. And
It's
this
a good
goes
cue.
both ways.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's ways to verbally and even non-verbally communicate to your partner during those times.
Absolutely. Anyah?
Could you remind me of the question?
Well, this actually came from you. So about feeling comfortable with doing a kink. So, you weren't feeling very comfortable with the guy that you brought over to Smash. So you're like, Mario Party, let's go. That's the biggest cock block I've ever seen. Hey, I'm so turned off by you. Let's play Mario Kart.
So
Actually,
So context is the person I'm looking for is more of a friends with benefits because I feel like I can trust a friend more than I can just a complete stranger. So
Sure.
I thought, okay, well, he can come over, we'll hang out, and I don't know, maybe something will happen. But my main focus was to get to know the person. And he was just way too aggressive. I was trying to get to know him as a person, and he just kept defaulting back to sexual stuff, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
That's a little much.
So, as far as being comfortable, I feel like it's important, at least in my situation, to know the person even a little bit. I mean, it again, just to cover that part. It's okay for the people who don't mind doing strangers. Just for me, I'm more comfortable with people I know. So when it comes to like trying new stuff, I would say in my situation, there's my fiance who's a little bit more vanilla than I am. If I had a person on the side that I also trusted, I would probably try stuff with him first because I felt more comfortable with him. And this friend probably is into the same stuff I am, so it feels like I can experiment with them first and then bring stuff into the bedroom with my actual partner. And that's kind of how I would go about stuff.
Mm-hmm. You have to feel comfortable. You might even feel comfortable, say, like, for example, you are talking to someone online and you're like super turned on by them, but sometimes in person might not be the same thing. Or they might just be way over the top, like in the, it's kind of like dating in the sense, like you kind of have to test them out. You don't just be like, hey, you want to be my boyfriend or girlfriend, like right off the bat.
Right.
You got to test the waters. Yeah. Definitely important on comfort.
I also have some trust issues, so being able to meet the person is helpful for me, at least. So
yeah. Barry, how was your burrito?
was it big?
Was it good?
You were going to town on that burrito. Was it sensual? Did
Was
you like
it
it?
thick?
Did it give you snuggles afterwards? Ooh.
Can I have your burrito?
That burrito.
Share your burrito with us.
The burrito and I had a very good time.
Did you name him?
It was.
Are you gonna call him back?
I think it was a good time. I don't think it was that good. There's a little bit of a stickiness situation, and the burrito didn't clean up after himself. Okay,
A little too much of a Naruto.
No.
I mean, he'll be a piece of shit eventually.
I'll give burritos.
We'll give burritos to anyone. Rumor we didn't ask, but thank you. Good to know.
I would love a burrito, actually.
And
Never mind.
fun fact, it was actually peanut butter and jelly in a tortilla thing. So,
Ooh,
it
sticky.
was not.
No wonder you're licking it.
Oh yeah, that's why I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I read chat at the moment. I was like, oh, I actually need to get this jelly off the side. So that'll be a fun little.
Oh, so it was messy.
It was
That
so
reminds
Just
me.
got everywhere.
That actually reminded me of the time I was eating ice cream on stream, and I'm never gonna do that one again.
Oh,
I was having a cone of ice cream, and someone in chat goes, "Oh, you're eating that so seductively," and I'm just like, oh no. Never eating ice cream on stream again.
I think please tell me it was vanilla. Please tell me it was vanilla ice
It
cream.
was vanilla with like chocolate cover and almonds.
It's so
Ooh.
funny because my fiance's favorite ice cream is vanilla.
It's the what's it called? Haagen-Dazs, like the little like on the popsicle stick. And like it's the vanilla ice cream with like the chocolate cover with almonds. My favorite one, it also has caramel inside, but it didn't have that one. So, so Barry, comfort on trying kinks or doing something with a new partner.
So I'm actually going to tell a story that kind of paints me in a bad light after everything I've talked about communication and everything. And I hope Schumer doesn't mind me telling this. And Schumer, Schumer, get in here for a second. Come here.
Poor guy, he's not feeling well, and you're just making him work.
I know. He brought me the food of his own accord. No, you could. Okay.
Anyah.
All right. I got.
He
Okay. So
fucking
just so we're all
denied.
clear.
You got denied.
I'm like, just so we're all clear. He said in chat, "Nah, you good." So we're all here to witness that he said I'm okay to tell this story. So because I'm pretty sure he knows the one I'm about to tell. So, Shermer and I are currently and have been for about 2 years. What the heck did you type, bro? Why was it? Oh, okay. It was just like all starred out, and I was like, what the heck? Sorry, distraction. So Shermer and I are in an open relationship, meaning that we occasionally have other partners, but like we don't all simultaneously date. So we're not in a polyamorous relationship. We're in an open. So I can talk to other people. He can talk to other people, but we are the main people. We are the main people, and
You're the Twin Towers.
yeah,
And you've talked about it too.
Pre 9/11. Pre 9/11 Twin Towers.
They have not fallen over yet.
Pre.
See, here's the thing about
Some
open
bait attraction.
relationships that not every person understands is that to have an open relationship, you need to talk about it with your partner, the limitations, the boundaries, etc. You can
Yes.
be like, hey, are you interested in this open relationship? And they say yes, and you just immediately think you're in it. No, you need to figure out the limits and boundaries first.
100%. And I was actually the one that brought up the option to Schumer. And I'm not going to go into the whole backstory, but I was the one that brought it up. We talked about it extensively. We talked about the terms. We talked about the length, even like how long do we want this to last. And currently, and if I'm mistaken, Schumer, you can of course correct me. Currently, our open relationship is open until unless two things happen. One, we get married. After we get married, after we're like legally like sharing taxes and stuff, or one or the other becomes uncomfortable and we say, nope, this is it, we've got to end it, and we are constantly refining these rules, refining everything.
But you have to.
That's important.
Oh, yes, we're constantly talking, checking in, double checking, triple checking. And we have really started working on that because the first official time that we had someone we were interested in, we met them, we talked to them for weeks. Like, this wasn't we met someone, let's go, let's just jump right in. Like, we talked to them for weeks. He talked to this person by himself for a little bit, then I talked to this person by myself for a little bit, then we talked to this person together. And then finally, when we felt comfortable, we were like, hey, let's have a lunch date. So we did.
Where'd you go?
We met up, we went to like a local bookstore, we had fun, and then we planned a dinner date where we met this person for dinner. We went out for sushi.
Ooh.
And then during the sushi date, I started to get uncomfortable with the whole situation. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just like, to this day, I don't know what it was. It just paying a jealousy suddenly. Because I had been cheated on before, and this was the first time I was actually realizing this happening, and this was the first time I was watching it happen before my eyes, and he was really attracted to this person, and I don't know. But so I started to become uncomfortable, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to ruin something for my partner because I'm a people pleaser. I was like, I don't want to upset him. I don't want to disappoint him. So I didn't say anything. So then we bring this person home, and immediately I come upstairs. I change. It's gonna sound so bad. I'm gonna get judged so hard. I can feel it. I changed it to a onesie. And then come downstairs and we watch TV, and Schumer is sitting in between me and the other person, and he has his arms around both of us, and as soon as his arm went around the other person, I just shut down. And it just became very awkward, and it just became like a really bad situation, and luckily, Schumer understood something was not right. He knew me well enough. He read my body expression, my facial expressions, my body language. He said, okay, I've got to end this. So he did. And luckily, me, him, and this other person are actually still really good friends. And this person was a very kind, understanding person. He was like, you know what? It's fine. I get it. Don't worry about it. But it comes back to comfortability. Even if you think you are 100% comfortable with something, you are always able to suddenly become uncomfortable. But the main point is you have to tell your partner. And if you cannot tell your partner, because you're scared you're going to upset them, or because you scared they might hurt you, if you're scared that they're going to hurt you, you need to just leave. Like, if you're scared they're going to hurt you because you tell them no, you just leave.
Yeah.
But if you're scared that you can't talk to your partner because you're uncomfortable, you need to have another conversation outside of just that one thing. So like, as soon as that person left, I like broke down into tears, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me, I don't know what's going on. He handled the whole thing in stride, and he's such a good person. And he said, you know, let's talk about it, let's figure out what happened. And do we need to stop the whole open relationship? And we did. We stopped the open relationship for a short period while we talked and we figured it out. And it turned out that at that point in time, I wasn't okay witnessing him being with other people. But if he wanted to flirt and date outside of our relationship and I wasn't there to witness it, I was okay with that. Still into this day. And like, our whole terms have defined and they're changed now and everything is different. But you have to be comfortable with your partner. You have to be able to be comfortable with the conversation. And at any point you can become uncomfortable, but you still need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Conversation is
that's
very
the
important.
thing is, some people get uncomfortable, but they forget to have the conversation afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have that conversation afterwards, they get mad at their partner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There needs to be constant talk about boundaries and limits because they can change. For example, if one person, or if a couple is, or even not even just a couple, just any person, but I'm going to take a couple, I think it might be a little bit easier. For example, if you're in an open relationship and you're talking to your partner, hey, you know, these are my hard limits, these are my boundaries, these are my no-nos, you know, I'm interested in being open, you know, let's do this. And then like Barry happened, you know, some people, you know, might be comfortable with the idea with it, and then when you start, actually seeing things in front of you, it might, get a little jealous. Might be like, maybe this is not for me. I'm still interested in the open relationship, maybe not, visually seeing it, or you might be perfectly fine for a while, but then all of a sudden, for some reason, it just starts hitting you. Like, I get a little jealous now. You have to constantly be talking about it. Just because you have like no-nos and limits and boundaries right now doesn't mean that, a month from now those won't change. You have to constantly be talking about it. I think it's very important to not even if they don't change, to just almost like reassure that these are still the boundaries. Like no anal. Well, no anal. A month from now, yeah, no anal still, and then a month from now, still no anal. You have to reapply those boundaries and limits with the partner constantly, because who knows how you are, in a month from now or 2 months from now. You might not be jealous now, but you might be jealous later. You don't want to keep that from your partner. You have to constantly talk about it. Otherwise, you're going to have a hell of a time, because once it starts, building up, you're going to blow up eventually, because you can only fake it that you're okay for so long.
And Grum, if
Yes.
before we move on, if you don't mind, I'd like to read what Schumer said in your chat.
Go for it.
He said, "Our open relationship is defined by our open communication."
That's a good one.
And that's a really good line. Thank you, Schumer. It really is. It's we're constantly communicating, constantly like checking in with each other, and and I will say this for those out there that have a very similar relationship to Schumer's and I's, in our personalities, his love language, so to speak, is constant words of affirmation and touching. He loves, like, even if it's just me like putting my hand on his arm and just letting him know I'm there, that is his form of, like, it's a good form of communication for him to let him know that I'm okay. Me, I'm like, I forget what it's called. It's like if you do things for me, like if you see that like I haven't put the silverware away yet, or if my books are on the floor, if you just pick them up and put them back in my bag for me, I'm like, oh, thank you, So
Acts of service.
Acts of service, thank you. Yes, that's my love language, right? So to me, his form of communication is very clingy. But even if it feels clingy to you, if you are not someone that does that, if you truly love your partner, you will do your best to communicate the way they need to be communicated with.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah,
like,
love language can also change.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100. Yeah, like I agree.
Like my love language is completely different if I'm just like trying to, flirt with someone versus if I'm with someone. Like, for example, if I'm with someone, my love language is a lot more touchy. Like, hold your hand. Like, for example, say we're driving. I'm driving and you're sitting next to me. I like putting my hand on your thigh. Like, that's my comfy spot. Or if we're home, I pass by you, a little butt smack, or hold you, or just touch you. Like, I'm very touchy. But if I'm like not with you, like we're just flirting, even if there is like interest between us, because there is such a thing as innocent flirting, a little flirting. But if there is interest, and we're hanging out, I'm not going to be as touchy because that can come off as a little weird. My love language is like support, praise, and affirmation, and flirting. It's not so much the touching. It's the, if you're telling me you're having a bad day, I try to support you. If you're having, vent issues or you want to vent to me, like I'll support you and I'll, tell you that everything's going to be okay. Like, you deserve better. You do this and you do that. That's my love language. Versus, someone, if I'm with someone, like, it does change even within the same, even if you're together for a while, it might change after a while. But love language is very important. Knowing your partner's love language is also very important. Because some people are not touchy, but that does not mean that they're not into you. Some people are just, that's not their love language. Some people are just different. but that doesn't, like, you should, if you're used to a type of love language, say like all your guys or girls that you've been with are very touchy, but all of a sudden you're dating someone who isn't, that's not them not liking you. It might just mean that that's not their thing. They might show their love or appreciation for you in different ways. Maybe, maybe their love language is maybe doing more errands around the house, maybe like taking out the garbage more often than you're used to, or they see that you're having a hard day. Maybe they make you, a nice hot cup of cocoa. That's like them like, hey, I love you. Let's make babies.
Right.
But yeah, comfort is also very important. So, which was the original question. Comfort is very important. So I have an important one because I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and it actually wasn't to do with my friend. It was like her friend's issue. Her friend is also into the Dom sub stuff, but they're more into the I don't know if you guys know what this is, knife play. They like having a knife involved, but not so much cutting skin. It's more just the fact that there's a knife there. And I was told that the Dom made a mistake. He accidentally cut her a little bit. And she went very ballistic and started telling my friend that she's considering ending it with the Dom because she got a little scratch on her neck, which I can see why some people would react very harshly on it. Some people don't want to have a visible anything from play, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to give my opinion first, but I'm also very curious to see what you guys want or think about this. I feel like Dom subs, no matter who you are, you're human. Mistakes bound to happen. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. I don't think making a mistake, which is bound to happen, every partner will make a mistake, in my opinion. Every partner, whether that's small or big. That's when you start talking about, reestablishing maybe new boundaries of, we can't do this during this time. In this particular case, the guy drank a little, so maybe the talk would be, we're not having any kind of play when, you've been drinking, because that is a big no-no. But I don't think you should kick a partner to the curb just because they made a mistake. I mean, if you are involved in kink, especially in the harder side of it, I feel like you are verbally agreeing that, this is dangerous, that there is a danger side to this. You can't just be like, yeah, I like knife play, but, if something goes wrong, you can't be just like, well, fuck, that's not what I wanted. You're signing up for this, though. Like, any kind of hard kink is dangerous. That's like you putting your hand to a flame and being pissed off that the flame is hot. Like, shit happens. You can't just be like, oh, my Dom made a mistake, I'm going to kick him to the curb because I made a mistake. Now, if this is a continuous thing, if he's constantly doing something, then it might be time to be like, maybe this might not be okay with you. But like for like a one-time thing, I feel like if you're reacting that bad, you might just like the thrill, not the actual act.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I feel like that was a severe overreaction because I asked her, how was the cut? Like, was it deep? Was it dangerous? And supposedly it's a small scratch, but it was more the fact that other people can see it. And I know this is not a wide opinion for everybody, but if I'm with someone and, maybe they like to be marked, or maybe not fully marked, but there's something visual there, they might usually hide it. I would like my partner to wield that in pride of, maybe I spanked them a little harder than usual. They have a bruise in their butt, and it hurts to sit a little bit sometimes. Like, I like the thought that when you sit down, it hurts a little because that reminds you of what we just went through. And so I know that's not for everybody, but if you are not for that, I would still hope that you would understand if you're part of the kink situation, especially if you're in the harder, because there is a difference between softer kinks and harder kinks, because the harder kinks can involve dangerous things. That if you are involved in those dangerous things, that you would have, you know, the common sense of, well, sometimes stuff happens if you're not fully safe. But that's okay. You just have to talk to your partner and put more limitations on what you should or shouldn't do. But Day, your perspective?
Yes, yes. It definitely continues on the conversation of you should definitely have some kind of conversation with your partner about what's going on in that you want or need, etc. In terms of the session or previous current or upcoming sessions, if you will. But then there goes, you know, some of the nonverbal communication that you need to work on. And not everyone's good at that, but at the same time, you know, there's certain aspects that you can try to improve on. I think I answered part of the question. Could you remind me the full question?
So making mistakes, how quick are you to drop your partner for it? That's the actual question, but like how do you handle mistakes by your partners or kink mates? Because, you know, I think there's a distinction between, you know, dating someone and kink mates, which might not be necessarily your lover.
Yeah, definitely. I'm more forgiving when it comes to my partner in terms of kink mistakes. When I'm trying to do someone that I'm not as attached to as, you know, a significant other, then definitely I'm more quick to blame them and the situation and whatever and say that they are the reason why it's not working right now. But, you know, there's a little bit of both in some way, shape, or form.
Are you a
And
strikes
so-
person? Like even with the non-partner?
I am.
Are like a 3 strikes you're out, or is it like, oh, you messed up once, you're out?
3 strikes.
Okay, so at least you're a little bit forgiving.
Right. Because after the first strike, I'm like, why? Why did this happen? And you know, if a second strike happens, then it's like, again, how did this happen? What caused you to do it? If I were to implement this rule, would you be able to follow it, or would you go to third strike, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, it's kind of situational, but at the same time, I also find that, I don't know, just, getting through it might help. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like talking to your partner. I don't.
Communication.
I don't know why people. I think depending on how severe the problem is, maybe like 1 strike, like that was like bad, but it wasn't the fact that it was bad, but maybe because like what happened caused something in you to be like just turned off by it. That's different than you being like, I got a little something here, that's not okay, peace out. Instead of, you should probably approach it, in my opinion, the way you should approach it is like, hey, hold up a second, how did this happen? How can we avoid this from happening again? Because this is not something that I want, but I know that you're human, shit happens. Like, I think that's very important. Just talking about it, like, how can we avoid this from happening? And if it keeps happening, it's just like, let's not. I guess if it keeps happening, yeah, eventually you have to deal with it. But like if it's a one-off, everyone has bad days. Everyone has like, you know, days off where they're not in the the right mindset, or, you know, there's a lot of things going on in their mind that they're like just not fully there, but they still want to please you, so they still try. Like for me, if I'm having like a weird week, like this week was fucking stupid, I might not be as, you know, as my normal level of horniness or interest in into things that I normally would be, just because my mind is off of like at work, just like work is being shit, then this. But if I'm still with someone, obviously I would still try to please them, but like I might not be 100% there, but I still want to please them. You know what I mean? But I feel like humans are humans. Like, I don't think anyone should ever be held higher to a higher standard than others, because in the end, doms, subs, switches, freaks, hoes, whatever you want to call anybody, whatever name you want to be called, because there's a lot of names that people like to be called. Wink, wink. No higher standard. Everyone makes the same mistakes. You just gotta talk it out. But Anyah, what's your opinion on this?
So for me, when it comes to making mistakes with like a partner or a play buddy,
Friends with benefits.
for lack of better words,
Stranger with benefits.
I
Blair Witch
I
guy.
take more.
Happy Meal
I
guy.
take more of the kind of psychological approach because I know I'm dealing with another human. I use more logic and reason in these scenarios because, like in regards to your friend, for example, it sounds like she had a very emotional response and not a very reasonable one.
Yes.
What I see is she has been with this person for a while, so thus they have a relationship. After a while, you kind of know someone after a while, like, okay, this is unusual for them. This is not unusual for them. So if this person was not intending to cut her, then logically one would think, okay, that was unusual for him. We should still talk about it, but I'm not going to hold it against him because it was just like a freak accident. But to completely go emotional response, like, oh, they're a horrible person, like they meant to do that, and I'm considering ending everything, like that's very emotional and unreasonable. So for me, if it were me, I would probably have the same response. Like I would freak out a little bit, objectively speaking, but I would have a conversation. I would wait until the emotions came down, because I feel like we make less good decisions when we're at an emotional high. And then I would come to him when I had a more stable mindset and be like, okay, this happened. What happened? Kind of like what Day was saying. And how can we avoid it next time? And do we just avoid it altogether if we think it's going to happen? Especially if drinking was involved, I wouldn't have it dangerous objects in general.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my perspective.
Yeah.
It's very much kind of, again, communication and thinking of the other person. There's two people involved, two different perspectives, so it's important to keep kind of like the big picture in mind.
I see a trend of just communication. A lot of it has to do with communication. You just gotta talk about it. And I agree. I think you have to, I feel like if you are someone who can, or if you have an emotional response, if you know you're that kind of person, I would actively avoid making decisions of this, scope, in the moment, because, it isn't easy finding someone who you mesh with for this lifestyle.
Exactly.
It's not like, for example, I meet two girls and they're both subtypes, and I'm like, yeah, they're pretty nice. I might not mesh with both of them for one reason or another, even though I'm a dom personality and they're a sub personality, or I'm a dom sexual personality. I'm not a dom personality at all in like general life. I'm pretty laid back, But in sexual life, I am on the dom side. I might not mesh with them for one reason or another. It's not as easy as like, oh, well, you're a sub, I'm a dom, let's go. There's more to that. And if you find something and you know that you're an emotional person and your emotional responses are very bad or very extreme, if you have someone that you mesh with, maybe wait, calm down, like think things through. Was it that bad? Was it actually that bad? Or was it really that bad? Does it need to have, restrictions put on it? Or are you really just that turned off by your partner now that you just can't, which does happen. But yeah. Emotional responses are bad in Kai. Barry?
So
Teacher
kind of
Barry.
going off of Teacher Barry. Kind of going off of Anya's idea, we have to look at the whole picture. The big picture, right? So I was thinking what's happened to this in particular person in the past? Has this something like this happened before? Did she give someone 3 chances and then they ended up just 4th strike and they're out, and now she's like, nope, never again. First time it happens, I'm done because I can't let it happen again, right? And yeah, I agree that it sounds like a very emotional response. I also have a friend that is a very emotional person, and every response she's ever had to any type of partner she's ever had has been an emotional one. And I'm like I will have emotional responses, but I have learned to not respond to, and a lot of this has been through the help of Shroomer. But even when I first started with this girl, like even I knew, like she would automatically respond through text message, through phone call, whatever. Like she just instant emotional response. She wouldn't give it time to cool down. She wouldn't have time, like give herself time to think. And even I realized at a point, like it was. Like you need to take a step back at some point and say, okay, let me think about this. Mistakes are going to happen, but I really think it depends on, like I said, have mistakes happened to her before, and was she at this point saying the mistakes happened before? I'm not going to let them happen again. I can't. Also, what was happening during the scene? Was she giving the agreed upon safe word? Was she giving the agreed upon physical response if she was unable to say the safe word? Because I'm having a hard time believing that there was a sharp instrument pushed so closely to, and to be fair, I will say this. I don't generally deal with very dangerous objects, so what I could say, what I'm about to say, could be completely incorrect. Y'all can correct me, but I have a very hard time believing that there is a sharp instrument pressed so closely to your skin that you don't realize it's about to break skin, unless it was a very quick swipe, which of course at that point, so just my initial reactions. One, what's happened to her in the past that has made her say, I have to drop him because this happened. And then what was happening during the scene? Were safe words said? Were physical cues read incorrectly? But in general, I agree with these lovely ladies and yourself. Communication. If this is a play partner, if this is someone that she only does scenes with and is not in a relationship with, and she feels like she needs to move on to someone else that she feels safer with, that's what she's gonna do. But if this is a romantic partner, that is definitely something that I feel like deserves a type of conversation. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was trust. Which kind of goes into that what's happened to her past. That trust, the trust of he's not going to hurt me, is now broken. Even if it was a mistake, even if it was not meant to happen, the trust of this person will not hurt me with this object has been broken. And even if to herself, she's not saying, oh, trust is broken. It's more of a, she's covering it with something of, oh, well, everyone can see it. I don't want people to see it, right? Like, she may not realize it's a trust thing for her, but it definitely sounds like that link is broken, and she's going to have a very hard time putting that link back together. For whatever reason, whoever type of person she is, once that trust is broken, it's gone. And it's really hard. And she's the type of person that's really hard to get that trust back, even if it was a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. So this brings me to the next point, which is actually not on the list. It's actually coming up now. Safety in kinks. Well, regardless of softer kinks or harsher kinks, you have to have safety precautions. Hence the safe word. If you proper maintenance of materials, it's not just like, for example, rope. It's not just buy rope, use it, and then you store it away. You have to properly take care of it. Leather, any tools, they need to be cleaned out. If it has extensive use, you have to take care of everything. But let's take the situation that I had with my friend's friend. Take a knife. If you're someone who likes breaking skin, it should be fine to have a sharp knife, but not like holy shit sharp. Dull it out a little bit, but enough to cut skin if that's your thing. But if you are someone who likes the thrill of having a knife put against you, but are hard no against breaking skin, dull the knife out completely, where you can literally go like this and it will not cut anything. You will still get the thrill of having the knife next to you, but it will not cut anything. So I think safety is very important. Day, are you having a good time there?
I was about to say, I really want to hear Day's response. I
see that
I was
face,
like,
and I think I really want to hear.
I don't think I even want to respond. Like, I think this is I'm just gonna pass this all off today. One, because I don't have a lot of experience with stuff such as that. I will respond on like a different level, but please, like, I want to hear Day.
Day's physical response to that was just...
I'm sorry, just for my brain going burr. What was the question?
The importance of safety and taking care of your tools or practices, and even safety measures. Like, if you don't like having your skin broken, maybe not use tools that can cause that, or if you are into knife play, dull the shit out of your knife so that it doesn't cut.
Yeah, it was I'll say this for anyone who feels embarrassed about their sexual history. Maybe I top them in some way, shape, or form so you feel less embarrassed. But I had to come to my mother and be like, I have a yeast infection, and she's like, how'd you get it? And I'm like, I don't know. And
I
she's
was making
like, well,
bread
it
and I
kind of
dropped some
happens.
inside.
It kind of happens one of a few ways. And I'm like, so basically, long story short, how it happened was I didn't know how to properly clean the toy that I was currently using. So that was my issue. But she was like, even though I wasn't confident enough to tell my mother that I was using a toy and whatever, she was like, hypothetically, if you were to be using something, you should clean it after every use. And that was what told me that I fucked up. So I was like, got it, I fucked up. My mom also kind of figured it out by my reaction after her saying that. And so it was just the whole thing of just kind of figuring out how to do things in the worst way possible, in my opinion.
Hey, Ma, can you help me? I use my toys
Grum,
too
if you
much.
If you could remind me for one last time what the question is, just in case my brain.
Well, it
went-
wasn't so much a question, just like what your thoughts are on like safety and like safety precautions.
My thing on safety precautions is it depends on the person. But the bare minimum safety precautions you should have is like a pre-identified before you start the diddly safe word, and then at least one conversation of what the hard limits are. You know what I mean?
Do you guys have safety words for like slow down or like not so much stop, but just like not this, and then you have like a hard word for like completely stop, or just one general word, just stop?
More so, I'm comfortable enough with my partner to be like not there and then they move. But when it comes to like they're doing something that I don't like, um, that's the rare occasion I'll use the safe word. But I'm curious on when you guys use it, because I haven't used it too much in terms of stopping what we're doing.
So before I have Ani answer, do you guys want to know what Sarah's safety word is? So Sarah is in, I don't know if she's still lurking, but Sarah's a very good friend of mine. And I know what her safety word is. It's poo towel. That's her safety word. Poo towel. I found it so interesting. It just like when I first learned it, like, why poo towel? Why? But Anya, your thoughts on safety?
So it's interesting because me and my fiance don't really like have a word. It's more like our tone of voice. You can kind of tell when either of us is really uncomfortable. So if something hurts, it's kind of impossible to kind of misunderstand that it hurts.
Do you screech?
so like with me, it's more of like no, like stop. I'll even probably say stop at the end. So, but it probably sounds more painful than that. But so with us, it's more that we use tone of voice. We don't really have a trigger word in particular. As far as like sterilization of like objects, like that's something that just kind of that's part of the aftercare process. I'll forget about it, so I just make sure everything is like thrown in the washer if it needs it, or clean for next time. So there's no like accidents, because I know for me it's really easy for me to contract stuff. I learned that the hard way when we very first got together. There was like this really uncomfortable thing I had for like 9 months after our relationship, and I even had a weird conversation like, did like your ex have something bad? Like, do you know? so I don't know. Safety in our relationship is super important to me, because I really don't want anything uncomfortable.
Did your ex
Mur-
have some
what
crusty
is it?
crabs?
What is it? Murphy's law or something? If something
Oh.
could go
Yes.
wrong, it will.
Yeah.
That's Murphy.
Story of my life. That's an awkward conversation. Hey, did your Did your ex ever have some Krabby Patties?
What? Well, yeah, cause his ex did cheat on him, but they still stayed together a little bit. So I was super concerned. Like, please tell me I didn't contract something.
That's
Because
always scary.
there was just this itchy spot in the down nether regions that did not go away for 9 months, and I was just like, please tell me I don't have some incurable disease now.
You
It
have not
terrified me.
grown.
So after that, I'm just like everything, always clean, always get. I will forget otherwise. So super important, at least to
Yeah.
me.
It's important to clean your stuff, man. A lot of people don't realize that, especially with toys. I feel like a lot of people might not even realize you have to clean your toys. Like, you can't just, like, pump and put it away. You gotta pump and wash. It's important. Barry? Safety?
Yeah.
Teacher Barry, you want to teach us all the safety measures? Do you have a printout? A list of all the...
Do you have a printout?
The exits,
I feel
exit
like I
locations,
should.
the exit
Teach-
locations.
Teach us, Miss Leatherberry.
Hold on, I have a whiteboard.
Professor
I could, like-
Leatherberry.
It even has a peace sign.
Yeah.
All right, kids. Leatherbear's gonna teach us real well. Pay attention, bitches.
I just because I didn't have anyone guiding me when I first got into everything. Like I didn't really I just kind of to learn everything myself. I didn't learn until later that safety words were a thing. I didn't learn that you were supposed to have even non-verbal communication to show your partner that you were uncomfortable in any way. So for me, as someone that didn't understand or know all that stuff, like anytime I talk to someone new about BDSM or anyone, or anytime I'm talking to anyone in general about BDSM, and the topic of safety comes up, I am always like, you have safety, right? Like you have safety precautions. And if anyone ever tells me they don't need a safety word, I know out of that conversation. I mean, I can try to have a conversation with you about why safety is important, but if you're going to argue with me about why you don't need a safety word because you trust them or whatever, I'm gonna have a very difficult time talking to you. Now that doesn't mean like if you don't have one and or you just never if you never had one, but you're willing to listen to why I feel like you need one, that's different versus someone that's going to argue with me and say that you don't need one. Because you can 100% trust your partner, but Shermer and I, we use it less so now that we understand our boundaries, but when we were first starting to learn, especially when you're first starting to learn someone, whether it be a scene partner or a romantic partner, when you're first starting to learn your boundaries and your partner's boundaries, the words are very important. Nonverbal communication is very important. So Shermer and I actually have several I'm sorry I'm going off on this. Shermer and I have several forms of communication when it comes to safety. So for pain, there's a pain scale. We have 1 to 10. 1 being it doesn't really hurt at all. Like I can feel it, but it doesn't hurt. Versus a 10, which is it hurts. And if you continue to do it at that level, I'm going to have to safety word on you. We have a safety word that means stop. We never really established a safety word, which means slow down or speed up or anything like that. And it just so happened that the safety word for stop worked for us. Before we established our own safety word, which I'm going to keep between Shermer and I, but before we established our... Sorry?
Pumpernickel.
No.
Yeah,
before we established our own safety word, we did use the red, yellow, green system, which is a very big one in the kink community. If you don't know what that is, it's just red means stop, yellow means slow down, and green means go. And we also have a nonverbal. So sometimes some of my particular kinks that I enjoy mean that I cannot communicate verbally. So we have a tapping method or a snapping method, meaning that if I communicate with a snap or a tap twice, so like a double tap or something of that nature, it means I need him to stop whatever he is doing because something is not right. So communication to us and as safety to us is communication. Like SpongeBob, imagine communication. Um, Safety for us for me is very important. Just because I was in situations as I was meeting up with strangers from the internet when I was in college. There were several times when things could have gone very wrong, and I could have been murdered. Um, and so now that I've been to that experience, I'm like, no, uh, I have to have this. I have to have the safety word in place. And again, all of this took place over very long conversations. We tried and we tested things failed, so that I think that is also I think that's another very important conversation to have. Things are going to fail, in this lifestyle. You're going to try things and they're going to fail, such as your safety word. Like maybe you think it's a word that you're going to remember, but in the moment you forget.
Can I just say something on that one? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
It's a good point about failing. I feel a lot of people who get into kinks, they're curious about them. That doesn't necessarily mean that they like it. And I feel like a lot of people go into it expecting, yeah, I'm going to like it. And then they get like broken over the fact that they didn't actually like it. They were just curious about it. And that's perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine to like be interested in something. It's just like tasting a new like cuisine. Like if you look at like a food channel or a Food Network or whatever, and they're cooking like a deliciously looking thing, right? And then you make it and you're like, ugh, it doesn't taste right. I don't like it. It's fine to not like it. You just try something else. That is a very important. Yes, Day?
Yes, I just wanted to mention the fact that some people feel like they can't express that they either don't like or they don't know if they don't like that particular thing. So the partner may continue to do it, and that's another reason why communication is very important. So like if you try something, don't like it, it is very imperative to have the after communication.
True. Sorry, Barry. Continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and kind of, I mean, I was just gonna continue off of that, with my brain stopped working. I mean,
Are you thinking about the
they were.
burrito? I am too.
Still thinking about that burrito.
Oh yes,
Ooh.
it's just always in the forefront of my mind.
Light some candles.
Hey, completely off topic. Hey, honey, can you incorporate the burrito somehow into my Baron or burrito or something? Completely off topic.
But Anyah, include the lick.
Include the lick. But
sorry.
Oh, yes. So, so I was actually had a really good example of that. So, I am into a little bit of pain, and when I first started getting into, what? What am I missing?
I'm just picturing you licking the damn burrito.
I'm trying
Nothing else.
serious. I'm trying to have a serious.
What one moment? I have the perfect thing for this.
Oh gosh.
I got too intimate with my hand there. I'll call you later, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, continue. Not Dave. Fuck. Continue, Barry.
I mean. I'm looking at my phone because that's where your face is, and I can't have a serious conversation. You're just impossible. And then Day ran on my computer.
Day's just like, I can't even with these people. And the conversation drove Anyah away. She's like, I can't even with you. This is on the level of Shermer.
Oh my
ripping
god!
It off.
Is that from that burrito game?
Ooh,
Yes.
look at-
It
Oh
is from
my
I've
Grum
always
God.
wanted that.
No.
Yes.
I
That's so
can't
cool.
compete with
I
that
love
level
it.
of burrito.
Oh my gosh.
my God. Anyah, did you properly wash that before you used it? Has it been sanitized? I know what you do with your burritos.
Oh, very much so.
Oh God. You guys.
I just want to say you are all my favorite people. I hope you know that.
Hell yeah.
I just want you to all know that you're all my favorite people.
You're my favorite people too. Sarah's too. Sarah's like my best friend, if not one of my best friends. Like I love Day to death, and she is also one of my best friends. But Sarah is also like my best friend. Like I have a special list of people who are like super close to me. Day and Sarah are like just up there. There's a couple other people too, but they're like 100% there.
Yeah.
I love you too, Barry, though. Especially that burrito. Like,
I mean, I was gonna say I love my burrito more than I love any of you, including Schumer. So I think we all witnessed that.
That actually tells me you don't like us very much because you weren't even gonna call that burrito back. I feel attacked now because if you're not even gonna call Burrito Man back, what about us? You gonna pump and dump us on the side of the road?
I mean,
wow. Wow. Just wow.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Well, okay,
I mean, it's
fine.
not my fault that you're able to pick up on context clues. I wasn't even gonna say anything. At least I said goodbye to the burrito.
Anyah, are we still gonna go see Barry at this point? I mean, she might just not even.
I don't know now. Like,
At
my,
this
I didn't know
point.
you were planning to come see me. I didn't know you were planning to come see me. That was I got news from Grum that you were planning that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was telling you about it.
It was supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, was it really a surprise?
Grum!
You never told me it was supposed to be a surprise. What the fuck? I'm not a mind reader.
Ruinous surprises.
Communication, Grum. Communication.
Okay. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna be the responsible one here.
Yes.
Teacher Barry.
Yes, Teacher Barry. Teacher love the
You
Barry.
have responsibility.
like I tell my kids, focus on me. Focus on me. Can everyone focus on me?
You
Thank
missing
Focus
you.
on the burrito.
You missing the snaps. Hey guys, everybody.
Oh no. I raise my hand. I raise my
fuck
hand
that.
and then I touch my nose. I need everyone to focus on me.
What
For whatever reason that works. That works. Or with my fourth period, they love it when I say chicken wing, and they can respond, what is it? Hot dog and bologna.
Hot
That
dog
one.
Now
and
it's a
bologna.
burrito.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's a burrito. Oh, my shoulder. Okay, so you want to finish
But,
the safety thing?
Yeah. So we're talking about how it's okay to not like things, right? So I knew before going into the relationship with Schumer that I liked a little bit of pain. Well, I thought
On a scale of 1 to 10, like what's your range?
Hold on. Let me finish the story. Let me finish the story, and then I'll answer that to the best of my ability. But I could also be very wrong, and then you could be like, "Nah, you're like here." I'll be like, "Okay," because I'm also a very bad judge. I'm a very bad judge.
Okay.
So I thought I would like more pain. So and this is why it's just so important, and having that conversation about safety is so important because the first or second night Schumer and I spent together, we had a utensil that caused pain, and I had seen, and to this day, seeing marks on other women is attractive to me. Like, I find it very attractive. So I thought that I would also like that. Well, Shroomer used this utensil of pain. One hit, I was crying. I screamed our safe word, and that was the end of that conversation. And to this day, I still cannot handle as much pain as I would like. And whenever we get to if if I've been a brat, which for those of you that don't know, there are different like levels and subcategories of submission, and I'm considered a brat. I often do not follow rules, and I often bait Shroomer. And if I've been too bratty and I have to be punished, he will go to a level 10 on my pain scale, and that is where he stops. He does it once, stops. I may or may not behave. Depends on how I'm feeling that day. But generally, I would say my range is about from a 5 to a 7, depending on the day, because some days I'm more emotional and some days I'm just like, but oh my gosh, Anyah. But generally I would say I'm a 5 to a 7. But I don't like marks. Like I don't think I've ever been hit hard enough to have a permanent mark left on my body, which I'm just gonna turn my phone over because y'all are distracting. So I should have done the first time.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Grum, if you would agree with my assessment of my pain level being from between a 5 and a 7. But
what?
Yeah.
What? How would I? What? That's a Shroomer question. I mean, I would probably say, yeah, probably a 5 would be 5 or 6, yeah.
Because I like to be hit hard enough. That sounds terrible. I like the pain to be to the point where I can feel it. I mean, like, really feel it, but I like no marks. Which is disappointing to me a little bit. It's like a good range. It's just disappointing to me. But even though it's disappointing that I can't physically get to the pain level I want to be, it doesn't mean that I stopped. Thanks, Shroomer.
Not as hard as the dick. What?
Nice. Shroomer said her 10 isn't that hard. Yeah, my pain threshold is actually pretty low. So
it's like would you like Coco wouldn't even go Super Saiyan? Well, oh my god, I love that.
I forgot to say this earlier, so I'm gonna say it twice.
Don't you?
Dragon Ball sucks.
Dragon
Ball sucks. Dragon Ball is awful.
Wow. So I just want to say that this might be the last time Barry joins us on our podcasts with that kind of hatred and negativity. I don't know if I can handle this. I'm offended by this. Can we cancel Barry?
Apparently you're gonna have to cancel Anyah too. Just saying.
Anyah, we might not have to share logistics at this point with that kind of negativity. No, you have to. I think you have to prepare yourself a lot for whenever unless you already are part of that kind of activities. I think especially. Let me take Anyah for example, who's someone who is interested in activities but might not have experience with activities. I'm just gonna say Anyah because she's one of the co-hosts, but any person who's interested in going into this. If Anyah hypothetically had an interest in being whipped, she's looked into it, sounds interesting, she fantasizes about being whipped, she might be interested in being whipped, but she gets whipped and she doesn't like it. I think that's normal. It's perfectly fine to be interested in something that you can't handle. It's perfectly fine, and that should not put you off of trying something else. Maybe it's the watch me whip. Maybe if she likes the pain but can't handle the whip level of pain, which is a different type of pain. Maybe hers is more of a paddle pain. Maybe hers is more of a softer, but still can cause pain, but it's a lighter pain than a whip, because a whip is like, depending on the tools that you're using, like it varies. Like the pain level or the pain type also varies. Like a paddle pain is different than a whip pain, but you also have different tools that are basically meant to hurt you and break skin. Like, for example, I went to a special fun store yesterday, and they had a tool where it was a handle, and then they had metal chains. It was a metal flogger, if you don't know what that is. But at the end of the tip, at the tip of the metal chains had these little tiny spikes, which is meant for when you use it on the person, it is meant to break skin. It's to puncture the skin. That's a different type of pain than if you're using a regular flogger, or if you're using a normal paddle versus a whip. Maybe if she's interested in the whip but can't handle the whip, maybe a paddle, maybe something a little softer that can cause pain but not to that level, that will still, introduce her to the fantasies that she wants. I think it's very important to just be like realistic with the expectation that not everybody can handle that kind of stuff. But that doesn't mean that you can't, be interested in the kink. You can still research it. You can still do workarounds. There's all kinds of workarounds that allow you to be part of that kink without being, to that level of, I'm interested in whips, but I don't want to be whipped to that extent. I think that's very important.
That challenge.
Yes. Do you want?
Yes.
Do you want to be whipped,
You
Anyah?
think I can't take it hard enough?
I don't know. Might have to test that theory.
You think I'm a bitch?
Do you think I'm a naughty girl? Do you think I'm a naughty burrito? Do you think I can't handle the extra hot spicy sauce and my beans and rice inside of my burrito? Oh, man.
Challenge accepted.
All right. That was actually it on my topics. Do you guys have anything to add on the... Oh, my God. You brought the burrito out. Do you guys have anything to add to the spicy topic?
I didn't accumulate any extra questions that I can think of. I might come up with one at the end.
Sure. Anyah, anything to add?
Same.
Beery? You're muted.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Okay.
Hello.
Nothing I wanted to add on topic wise, just something I wanted to add on to the last topic. Please, if you are just getting into this, if you're not already part of this, please take your time. Most of us here have been involved with it and for a while, have been looking into it for a while. This is not something that, unlike 50 Shades has taught us, you cannot just jump in because you find someone very attractive.
50 Shades is a very bad example if you go by that, by the way. Was that a reaction to Barry?
That was my I don't want to go off into a whole 30-minute rant about 50 Shades at the very end of this podcast.
Okay.
That was me. That was
in the middle.
But please take your time. Please don't just think that, you can go to an adult store, buy a flogger, and start whipping your partner because you've had this conversation of, maybe I want to be whipped. I mean, going off the whip example, this is not something that can just be jumped into. This, like we've said this entire podcast, it's all about communication. And even if you've had the communication, days, or maybe I'm thinking of someone else's story. I don't remember. There was vague communication, and and you're just we've kind of talked about it. they should be fine with this, and then you just do it, you know. This is 100% very this is 100% like something you slowly get into, and you slowly introduce to yourself and to your partner. And
who fucked it up? Oh, whoops. I gotcha. Wait.
Oh, this is trippy.
There you go.
50 Shades of Streamer everywhere.
all the way.
No.
But yeah, that was my final thing. That was the last thing I wanted to add. Was just please, if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about getting into this lifestyle, please take your time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, I'm on top now.
Ooh, I do like it when you're on top.
That and I immediately turned on my camera. I'm sorry, I should have waited.
I also want to add the safety, more on the safety, but more like safety on looking for partners. There's a lot of people who say they are what you want them to be, but they're not, and that can cause a lot of issues. And a lot of people are just not. It's like dating. You don't just want to date anybody. Like, you might be like interested in, like, you know, a certain type of person, you know, looks or personality wise, but you don't just date anybody who fits that description. You got to find like people who match that kind of energy that you have. It's the same way. You don't just get any partner. I mean, if that's your thing, like you just want to be involved in that and you don't care about your safety, then you do you. But normal people, please be safe. Not everybody who's a dom. If you're a sub, not everybody who says that they're dom is good for you. Especially you know what Day said earlier. There is very different types of doms. There's soft doms. There's hard doms. There's all kinds of different. Kinks are very interesting because you can say you're interested in one particular kink, but there's like 50 different variations of that kink. Like, you have to find people who match your energy for that particular thing. It's very important, because some people will match that energy, but they might have a problem with boundaries. Who you establish a boundary, but they're like, in the middle of the session, they're like, I don't care. I'm just gonna do it anyways. Very risky. It's a very fun and fulfilling experience if you're into that kind of thing, but it is also very risky, especially with the harder kinks.
Can I add on to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so and just to kind of like reverse that, doms that are looking for submissives, the same thing. Like, find the type of submissive that you vibe with. Like I said, I tend to be submissive pretty much all around, like in the bedroom and in the relationship, because in like everyday life outside of my house, I'm very authoritative. I'm very like I make decisions all the time, and I come home and I don't want to make decisions. And I quickly found that being with someone that wasn't able to handle decision making for me was not the best relationship I needed to be. And there's nothing wrong with those people, you know, but if you're a dominant looking for a submissive, what kind of submissives are you looking for? You know, not everyone can handle a brat. And I also learned that I needed someone that could handle me when I am bratty, you know. And then, like, not everyone can handle someone that's not a brat, you know. So it's just like, just going off of what you say, Grum, but like the other way. Like, yeah. Find someone that you vibe with. Do you want submissive a lot of the time, or do you want submissive only in the bedroom?
Yep, it's important.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Please, Anyah.
Yes.
Besides the fact you like being on top. Anyah likes
and then
being
you
on top.
put me on the
Check.
bottom again, like.
I didn't put anything. You want to be on top? I'll put you on top.
Can we please just always have Anyah on top? In our cult meetings, can we please just put Anyah on the top?
Which, by the way, I am making, on a suggestion of Sarah, I don't know if she's still lurking, I made a faction leader channel in the council room in my Discord. That's gonna be for the faction leaders of the cult factions. Which, by the way, here's my socials in chat and Discord. If you haven't joined my Discord, what the fuck are you doing?
Nice plug. I love it.
I know.
So smooth.
So the faction leader is going to be for the people who will be self-appointed. I don't know. This is all on you guys. I'm not part of this at all. Anyah and Barry and you guys came up with this idea of factions. Whenever you guys decide who the leader of these factions are and how many factions there will be, please just keep it to 4.
Actually, it started as my joke, and then it kind of exploded.
I was about to say, I kind of hopped on the train with Anyah with it, and then I pop out, and I pop back in 20 minutes later, and they're like, oh, we have factions now. Yeah. And I was like, what?
This is all on you guys.
We volunteers tribute.
You decide on this. But if you're going to do factions, just please keep it to 4 or under, just so we don't have too many people. But whoever you guys decide on who the faction leaders are, just let me know so I can add them to the faction leader chat. So you guys can, like, I don't know, fiddle with each other. I don't know. But, Anyah, what is it that you wanted to say?
Yeah. So, I just wanted to touch on the
burrito
idea of
Splendid, I love it.
Here. So I wanted to touch on the idea of, I guess, sort of safety and sort of also confidence-wise, as far as being more of a submissive type, especially in my experience, looking for somebody as a third, for example, it's like super hard because, like, I'm also a people pleaser. I'm just like, I want to be that person is just like, oh yeah, I'll give you whatever you want, and and I don't want you to hate me and whatever, like dumb stuff like that. So I want to make it a point to be like, if you are searching or exploring to find other people, that's important for you to go about it in a way that is kind of more selfish. Like, this is for you. This is something you want that potentially you're gonna like, and you kind of want what you want. So never compromise on what you want. Never feel like you have to not be yourself just to please someone else.
Yes.
I think kink is being like in the kink community is very important because that is part of yourself, and I think we all in our daily lives that work or social gatherings, I think we do kind of hide this side of us for probably I'm not gonna do a percentage because I don't know, but I'm just gonna say probably on average most of us hide this kind of side to us on social gatherings or at work, because I'm not gonna be like, hey coworker, guess who I role played with last night. Well, if one, is inappropriate, but two,
there is a time and a place.
Yes. But if you can't be yourself, like your full self, when you're in this kind of activity, where can you be? There's no better place to be your true self than here, where it's an open forum. But you also have to be. It just like every other kind of group or community, there is toxicity. You have to find a group of people who vibe with you. And that doesn't mean that you have to find people who are into the same exact things that you are, but people who support your things, even though they might not be into the same kind of things. Like, I don't care if someone who is into super hard kinks, I will support them. Dude, if that is the thing that you like, and this is how I am with everything, if you have XYZ interests, I will support you all the way, even if I'm not interested in those XYZ interests. I don't care. When I talk to someone and I'm friends with someone, I want them to be who they truly are. I don't want this weird like facade mask thing that you normally would in public. I want to know who you really are. Like, if you're a nympho, if you're a weirdo, you're a biggest nerd in the fucking planet, that's who I want you to be. Because I feel like that if I want to get to know someone, I want to get to know them. not who they pretend to be. And this community is really good for that. Be yourself. If you can't be yourself in the kink community, where in the fuck would you be able to be yourself at? Nowhere. Did you just put your burrito on your... Oh my god. Day, would you like to put any input into the last words?
Because my brain didn't process what you last said, could you remind me the question that I'm to answer?
It's just more like last words. Probably like, I know we were just talking about safety and like choosing your partner. And then like just a type of community is like you can be yourself in here.
Exactly. My last words are, as a switch, I can understand that there are certain times that you may feel shame for the kink and or whatever you feel when it comes to sexual preference or otherwise. But if you find a person who is willing to communicate as well as to work with said kink, and or if you were to classify it as something else because you're not comfortable with it, etc. If you were to find someone who is willing to work with you, it's a very different story than versus, if you were to present, your fetish to your person and they were to show some form of disgust. So my tip and trick is, as long as your partner or the person who you decide to share a bed and or intercourse with, as long as they don't show disgust and or disinterest and or saying ew or whatever to your kink, then they are in some way willing to try to help you get off on whatever you get off on. So as long as you're willing to communicate with your partner what that is and what they may need to do to help you get to that level, you and your partner can achieve a new level together when you communicate those interests together. Whether you say that to your partner or your partner says that to you, communication, even if you feel, especially, I'm gonna say this because I've felt this in my personal life, where I've felt like I've been mayhaps too pervy for my partner. So I felt like I couldn't particularly talk to my partner about what I wanted in bed. But I just want to tell anyone who feels that way, if they feel that way, just talk to your partner. The worst that they can say is, no, I'm not interested in that. And that's how you know that they may not be the partner to satisfy that need in you. Oh my god, English. But otherwise, if you know what your interests are and if you communicate that to your partner, there's nothing that you and your partner can't accomplish if you guys are on the same page.
Yep.
I completely agree.
It's not about finding someone who's also interested in the same things. It's about finding someone, I think it's with everything, even hobbies, finding someone who is, oh my god. It's about finding someone who supports you and supports your interests, whether in the bedroom or not bedroom. Did you not agree? Can we also talk about the fact that Anyah was tickling and caressing the burrito? She was like, oh. I feel like I'm gonna need a burrito mascot for these podcasts now.
Yes.
All right. So we haven't done this one before, or we haven't done this before in the outro, because this will be the outro, guys. Day, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to share?
In the upcoming week, next Thursday, might be playing Apex FPS trios with me and 2 of my friends. One of them may be carrying me because I'm not that great at FPS games. But if you want to try to teach me how to play Apex next Thursday around 7:30-ish Central Standard Time, then by all means, please come join us, and I would love to hear your input. But otherwise, I'll see you around eventually.
Yeah. So I will not be teaching you because I suck big cojones at Apex, but I will be stopping by and watching you because I like watching you. Creepily. All right. Anyways, Anyah, anything coming up for you coming week, next stream? Anything important that you'd like to tell us, except the fact that you love burritos now? In a sexual way?
So I don't have a real schedule yet, so not anything specific, but the plan is that for the next week I'll be streaming a different game each time, just to kind of represent the kinds of games I will be playing, and kind of the idea that I will be a variety streamer. So all I really have to say is, like, stay tuned. If they know about it, then you'll probably know about it. So
So today was also your first stream, is that correct?
it was.
How'd that go?
I was anxious. I didn't know if I was boring or not. I'm always afraid of being boring.
Dude, if I can be a streamer, you can be a streamer. I'm like
Right,
the
if
most
I can be a
boring
streamer,
thing
you can be a
ever.
streamer.
If you were to go over your own VOD, you might think that you're boring, but if someone else were to go over your VOD, they may be like, oh, I could listen to this VOD while I do this or that.
You're not wrong. Like, you'll always be your biggest critic.
Absolutely.
That, on top of someone else said this, but I love to repeat it, you personally may not be your own cup of tea. So,
True. I agree with that completely. And actually, that actually gives me an idea for next podcast. But Barry, what are you up to in the coming future, short future? Anything special that you want to mention? Besides the fact that you're going to be adding a lot more burritos in your diet?
So first, Anya, I just want to comment on your stream. And just kind of, so for those of you that don't know, Anya is my OG. From my very first stream to this day, she was there and she was talking to me and she was engaging and she was making it interesting. And I thought I was boring. I thought I wasn't doing a good enough job. And she just bops in and she's like, oh my gosh. And, like, we're just having like full on conversations. So she's my OG. And I think I don't have anything like super special planned in the near future. I might be playing a scary game on Halloween. It depends on if we can reach the community challenge in my stream.
We have to beat that
Let's
challenge.
please all gather all our points to get her to play a scary game. It needs to happen.
We're at like 23,000 right now, but as far as like within the next coming weeks, nothing super exciting. But around Halloween, I might be playing a very scary game. If the community makes it so. So that's all I've got.
Okay, we have to beat that challenge. I need to see Barry He's scared.
Y'all see me scared.
Bruh,
Y'all will
no,
do
we
random
have,
We
sound
have
to
a
numbers.
play
channel
a
for
scary
it in the
game.
Discord even.
This needs to happen, guys. We have to beat. We have to beat that.
I will
challenge.
be playing just the most normal game, and then Grum will pop in with, "It's John Cena," and I'll be like, "Ah!" Like,
You know, I'm not gonna lie. So anytime someone plays John Cena on my channel, I just go. Whenever I play John Cena in Barry's chat, I do the same exact thing. Even though I know no one sees me, I just go fist pump, like, John Cena. Dun, 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 dun. Always, every single time. I love that sound, and I love the sitting on the toilet. Sitting on the toilet.
Sitting on the toilet.
Now flush. The sass of it, like, now flush. The best. All right. So I guess I'll answer that one too. I don't have much coming up outside of like. Oh, I do have something coming up actually. So I am trying to do these monthly now. I know I said it before, but I legitimately am going to do it now because my community has actually been growing a lot. And you guys are super amazing. So I have mascots, like dragon mascots, like the one you see in the middle of the screen, and I am trying to do one every month of a subscriber, and I started last month of anyone who was subscribed. Now I'm going to try to limit it to more people who have been part of the community for longer. So for this month, because I want to include some recent people who have shown way more support than others, I'm going to make it if you have been subscribed for 2 months, but the end result will be for next month, and will be moving forward. Next month will be if you've been subscribed for 3 months or forward. At the 20th of every month, I will be picking one of you guys and talking to you about, like, what kind of color scheme you'd like, what kind of accessories, what kind of like hairstyle, do you want a hairstyle, anything, and I'll give it to my artist, and then she'll pop out a dragon, and it'll be added into the intermission screen. And I want to also add it to some other places here and there too, but I'm still kind of working on that one. But for now, any mascot that I create will be added onto my intermission screen as part of my community. So that's kind of what I have really short term, besides the fact that I have my regular stream schedule. So I'm going to try to play Blade and Soul with Faye, who's one of my mods. We're going to try to do a YouTube series where we review MMO or maybe even some multiplayer games on the new player experience, and then perhaps even the end game experience. But that's like a part 2 for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I have lately. But yeah, I'm also excited for like new games coming out, like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2. Ooh.
There's a 2 already?
It's being made, and it
They
looks
announced it.
I'm just like, there's a 2 already?
So sexy. So one other thing, I think I want to see your opinion on this. Next time for the podcast, how about we talk about streaming as a general thing? The difficulties of getting into streams, the difficulties of growing, what is needed, how the platform has evolved. What do you guys think? I think because we are all streamers, I think it might be an interesting topic to go over.
I dig it.
I
I'm
like
down
that.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Count me in.
So I think I might do this like as a habit, because that way I don't have to guess at the topic. I'll just at the end of each podcast be like, hey, how's this?
Like it.
Yeah, so that's the end of the podcast, guys. I want to thank everybody who stopped by. Like, our numbers for I just looked at it now, but our numbers for this week's podcast were pretty juicy. They're pretty juicy, better than last time, which I don't particularly care. I just do it for funsies, but it's nice to see people stopping by and enjoying it. But yeah, so I did not raid out last time, but I want to raid out today. I want to give some love to Sarah, because Sarah is like disgustingly supportive of my channel, and I love giving my love back to her. She raids me all the time. She plays with me all the time. She's a great friend. But yeah, so I want to thank Day, Anyah, and Barry for stopping by and being, cool ass people in my podcast. Hopefully, I'll see you again in 2 weeks for the next episode. Yeah, so thank you, everybody, and thank you, Matt and Moxie, for the follow. I don't know if you're still lurking, but thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, if you haven't, again, I'm going to plug myself in here. Shameful plug. I know I hate myself for that. Socials and Discord. Please join it. What are you doing? But yeah, let's go say hi to Sarah. Okay, guys? Love you. Bye.
You haven't followed.
Bye.